And we're live. I'm here with Right Conservative. So he is a YouTuber that I don't know when I found him, but I noticed him in my subs recently. And he put out this video about the communist constitutions. And I guess he found two of them. And anybody who subscribes to me, you know that I've done some videos about one in particular. So he covered the one that I've done videos about, and then he also covered another one that I hadn't heard about. So tell me, how did you find these communist constitutions?
It's actually a pretty good story. So I'm a board member on the Teen Republicans of my county, right? And so I went out with, well, we did the like the reefs across America.
I heard you talking about it on your live stream, and then I saw a video about it on One American News Network also covered it right after, and I was like, oh, that's the thing that he was probably talking about.
The reefs across America?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I went to that, and then afterward I went with the president of the Teen Republicans of my county, and his dad was actually talking to me about it, and we were just kind of talking about it, and he was telling me how basically if I think it was if 34 states allow Congress to choose representatives or I forget what they're called, whatever they're called, people,
Delegates for the convention.
Yeah, for the convention, they can basically throw away the Constitution that we have now and rewrite a new one. And then he was telling me about the new state's constitution, and then the socialist one. And so I went over the new state's constitution, and I was because it's super long. I'm not about to read all that word for word. So I was just kind of like skimming through it, and I was like, oh, this doesn't look as bad. It looks pretty similar to our constitution. And then I went to the socialist one, and I read the beginning of it, and I was like, I don't like socialism. So I was like, whatever. And then I started going more into it, and I was like, okay, some of it, I'm like, okay, I agree. Most of it, I was like, no, this is dumb. Like there was one part where it said like you have the right to an income. And I was like, yeah, if you're employed, you should get an income, because if not, then it's slavery. But then it said you have the right to employment, which to me kind of sounds like if a person doesn't hire you, then they're legally liable for like jail time or a fine or something. And I'm just like, no, I don't agree with that. Like if somebody doesn't hire you, then they just don't hire you, and then, like the same socialist stuff where they want to take money and then distribute it equally among people. And I'm just like, no. And I'm just like, no. That's the thing that I don't agree with socialism, because they take money from the rich, which, they're always like, oh, the rich, they don't pay their taxes. Okay, first of all, rich people pay a lot of taxes. If you look at America, because America has a progressive tax rate. So the more you make, the more money you have to pay. I think if you make, I'm trying to think now. I think if you make like 80K or over, like your gross income, then you have to pay like 24%. Whereas if you make like 9,000 to, I forget how much, you only have to pay 10%. Now for me, I just want a flat tax rate, but that's not the tax rate that's not the tax system we have. Anyway, but yeah, the whole socialist idea is to kind of take money and distribute it equally among people, which to me is kind of like, I don't see how you can innovate and create and have people create new ideas with a socialist economy, because if you can't, if you make money and the government just keeps taking it from you to distribute among people, then what's the point of trying to make money? And then I just think that'll discourage people from trying to make anything new, because if they make something new, people like it, people buy it, and then they make the money, and then the government takes the money and then distributes it among people. Well, you didn't really make any money. So I just don't see the point.
Well, and what's even worse is you're actually talking about capitalism with a heavy dose of socialism. Like actual socialism, countries like the former USSR and Cuba, one of the things people don't understand, like I knew when Ocasio-Cortez, when I was listening to her spiel, I caught on right away before I had heard anybody say she was a socialist. I was listening to her spiel, and she was saying, like, guaranteed income and everybody a government job. And you're saying how one of these constitutions said everyone's guaranteed an income. So what they do in these countries, in socialist countries, like really communist socialist countries, is the government owns all the industries. So like right now, you have the soft toilet paper that might be more expensive, and then you have, a cheaper toilet paper, and the market creates all these different options for you. There's always like an expensive option, a cheap option, and a middle option, a spectrum of options for whatever you want to buy. People who have a lot of money can drop, think of anything, whatever person who has a lot of money can drop more money on it, or somebody who doesn't want to drop a lot of money on it or doesn't have a lot of money, they can buy a cheaper version of it. When you have a socialist economy, the government takes over all businesses. So no one's truly competing with each other anymore. So all of those high-end options go away. Socialism is like, if you have cell phones on socialism, they're like the 90s and the 80s bricks. Flip phones would be like the only high-end products really go to party officials in these countries. So when you read somewhere guaranteed income, what that means is everyone gets a government job. So normal people are looking at that as a lens of like, what kind of government jobs we normally have. People, work at the post office or fill potholes or whatever. These are all government jobs. People don't understand, like, every single job out there would become a government job. So, if you work in the toilet paper company, you now work for the government. If you're a shoemaker, you work for the government. If you're, anything, any job out there, journalists work for the government. There's no like independent, newspaper companies or TV stations. The only news stations out there are government propaganda. There's literally no like independent industry whatsoever. And it's really like you have to read about communism a few times, because the first couple times I read about it, like, I didn't really wrap my head around it. It took a while before like I could really wrap my head around this. Like, this is why they kept running out of toilet paper in these countries, because the government is the one planning everything. So the government tries to plan how much toilet paper the country is going to need. And if they don't plan enough, you wipe your ass with your hand. I don't usually curse, but excuse me. I actually heard this one story. This guy who grew up in Soviet Russia, his father had one of the few like semi-private jobs out there where he like wrote about sports. He was a sports journalist, and it was like a side job. So he was an engineer, and then he would like write as like a side job. So there was a handful of few jobs that people could have, and you would still have to go and do your government job. So jobs that people want to do because it's a passion, you would have to, have these as like a side job. So his father was a writer as a side job. And when the government ran out of toilet paper and the country didn't have toilet paper, they would use the paper from like his father would be trying to write stories. And he said he would sit there and like rub it together to soften it. And that's what he would wipe his rear end with.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Like, so when it said guaranteed income, I thought that more of like a well, I mean, obviously now I'm thinking
you were
differently,
thinking
but
welfare. You were thinking welfare.
no. I was thinking like if you were employed by a company, they had to
Yeah.
pay you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, basically forcing companies to hire you. I think that's what you were talking about on your live stream.
Yeah,
And
with the guaranteed employment, that's what I thought it meant. But with the guaranteed income, I thought it meant like if you were employed somewhere, kind of like how we have it here. So if I were to get a job at like a McDonald's, they would have to pay me. You know what I mean?
so the way it works there in these kinds of countries, this one guy that I heard, I think it was the same guy, he was talking on a video about when his parents got married, they went into a government office to apply for an apartment because they were married. And the government, gave them their address and their keys. Like, you don't go and look at apartments from a broker. The government tells you where you're going to live. I guess if you have a lot of kids, maybe you can try to apply for like a bigger place, and the party officials get better apartments. So,
yeah, so I think the problem with socialism is like you said, the government has to like plan out everything. So I'm like a visual learner. So how I pictured it when you said that is that there's the government, and then there's like everybody that lives in the country. And basically how I pictured it is that the government, like you said, plans everything and distributes everything. And then there's everybody. And then I saw like lines coming down. Obviously not in a physical sense, but just in my mind, it was like lines coming down basically as like the government paying people and giving people things. So that's kind of how I picture socialism. There's like the government at the top, and then the government is like paying everybody, and there's, lines going to everybody. It's a lot of people. And then how I picture capitalism is that, yeah, there's the government and people have government jobs, FBI, CIA, and like you said, people who fix roads and whatnot. Yeah, there's the government paying people, but the government's not the only one. There's also like Johnson and Johnson and all these other different companies.
Yeah, but now the government would now own Johnson and Johnson. They would take over that company.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah,
in and say you don't own it anymore, just like that. Which is, it's really hard to wrap your head around it.
I just think they socialists, I just don't get, because like they say they want free stuff, but like nothing's free. Like you're always paying for something. Like even people who fix the roads, and even people who like whatever, even though you're not paying them directly, you're paying them indirectly. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. And one thing about this, like if you look at North Korea, you think, well, if there's like no incentives, you can't get fired. So then people would want to like not do a very good job, or like just not show up to work, because after all, you can't get fired. But then they have to have some sort of incentive. So this is where places like North Korea come in. Places like North Korea, if you don't show up to work, they come to your house and they basically like, they put you in like a work camp. And basically it's slavery. Like they beat you into, like with a whip, work, work, work. Literally. And people don't even, it's really hard to wrap your head around that if you've grown up in like a Western country.
It's all about power. With Kim Jong-un in North, it's all about power. Because like if Kim Jong-un were to implement, if Kim Jong-un were to implement capitalism in his country, the thing is his country, the economy would skyrocket. First of all,
absolutely, because Asians are extremely intelligent, and I'm sure his people are capable of like the kind of competition that would be required of capitalism.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, with his economy skyrocketing, his power would be on the decline. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, he's even killed his own family members.
Yeah. Yep. Sure did, except for his sister.
Yeah, apparently he likes his sister, but
let's talk about you want to talk about white people next.
So, what are some other interesting videos that you've done besides the video about communism that, you know, I don't know.
I mean, I know the video when you click on my channel, the video that comes up, it literally the title, it says we should kill all non-white people in America. That's an interesting video. It's not what you think. I made it kind of like a clickbait title so that people would be like, "Oh my gosh, he's a white supremacist." No. So basically that video that we should kill all non-white people in America is actually kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a reverse, because if you don't, well, you probably do know, but in, you know, how in South Africa there was that politician, I don't know his name. His name's very hard to pronounce, but there was that politician that was like, you know, for every one black person killed by, I think he said the tax industry, but you know, his accent, I couldn't really make it out. But he said for every one black person killed by whoever, he said we'll kill 5 white people. So basically,
Malema?
Huh?
Julius Malema. He's kind of the most well known.
Oh, I don't know. But then, so he said that, and everybody in the crowd was like going nuts. And then, so I made that video that we should kill all non-white people in America kind of as like a reverse. So I was like, for every one white person killed by a black person, we need to kill 5 black people, you know, just kind of like a reverse, because it's like, if I were to actually mean what I said that, if I were to actually mean that, then it would be kind of like.
Oh, you actually did some videos about Kim Jong-un.
I did?
Yes, I see. I'm looking at your first few videos. Your very first video is gun control is retarded, misspelled.
Oh yeah, I actually did a bunch of videos before that one, but I deleted them.
Okay, so that's the first video you have on your channel, and you talked about like gun control and communism. Happy birthday to Trump. Civil War is coming. What the hell, Maxine? Was that about the when she did that video, or she got caught on camera saying, if you see them at a gasoline station?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, man. You're going back
5 months. Far. Well, I actually reordered it according to the first few videos. America's not a racist country. Here's why. He's got some great videos. I'm liking these titles.
Man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting from Trump shut down the government. That's very timely, even though it was 4 months ago.
Oh yeah.
Shut it down. Shut it down. I want the wall. Why I love the Republican Party. I don't love the Republican Party.
Yeah, I should probably take that one down.
I like the Trumplican Party, but I'm also unhappy with Trump because of the First Step Act right now.
Let me actually go ahead and take that off of my channel.
Talking economics with a guest speaker. Who is your guest speaker?
I don't even remember. That's so long ago.
Lettuce. 4 months ago.
I can't even remember. That is so long ago.
Let's see.
I don't even remember what my first video was. I think my first video was about hold on. I'm looking for that Republican Party one, because I like the Republican Party because it's a lot better than the Democrat Party. And quite honestly, if the Libertarian Party was more popular, then I would probably be with that party.
The only thing I don't like about the Libertarians is their open borders. And that doesn't make sense. Yeah. I didn't.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. That's. The Koch brothers are behind them. So, you had conservative Mexican on your channel?
Yeah, and I almost died.
He's so popular. I'm surprised you got. Yes.
Yeah, I almost died because I was choking on some water. So that was fun. And he was like, "Don't die on me," and I was like, "I'm good." That was funny. That was a funny live stream, though.
So he actually has been following all this Candace drama.
Really?
So he I think no, not him. I'm sorry. There's another guy that looks a little bit similar, that wears like these weird glasses and nose. And he also, both of them like went after Tree of Logic because Tree of Logic went after Candace Owens. But all the stuff that she was saying, it's starting to come out now. I knew that Candace was spot on. I really did. So,
What do you mean?
I mean, I knew that Tree of Logic was spot on. Oh, Axe Truth. Zelix knows that channel. That's the channel where the guy wears the nose and the glasses. Axe Truth. But so Tree of Logic called out that Candace was like not. A lot of the stuff she says is great, but the problem is she's not really sincere and she doesn't come across as sincere.
You're talking about Candace Owens?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
I'm really upset about this First Step Act because not only did she, because of the position she's been given, she's now leading all these people astray. She sent this email out to them and said, "Oh, we're going to Washington. We're going to lobby," and they're, you know, these people are like, "Oh, this is so cool. Like now I'm a part of this," but the act is just a really bad act, and I think it's completely and totally passed. I don't think there's anything anyone can do anymore.
I haven't. I mean, I've seen the act on Congress. I've seen the act. It's so long that I'm just like not about to read through all of that.
It's 34 pages of legalese, so I skimmed it. And I also watched John Miller's. And then it was not proved. Yeah, John Miller's video on it is really, really good. There is one angle that I have 2 more videos at least that I'm going to release about that. One of them I've already recorded, so I went through earlier today, and I just need to like come up with a thumbnail, and I'll probably put it out tomorrow or tonight or something. But so one of the videos, the first video that I'm going to release, that's going to be my next video about it, was I was going through various federal prisons, and I started with the most minimal security, and a lot of them have like notable prisoners, and just looking at what are these people in there for, and seeing what people go to federal prison for. So, and for the most part, it's not, like John Miller said, it's not Tony with his dime bag. It's not, your run-of-the-mill pot dealers. It's either drug kingpins, a lot of, on the low end, it's a lot of like white-collar crimes and fraud and tax evasion, tax fraud type stuff. And then as you move up the ladder to higher securities, you start to get into murders and serial killers and, rapists, terrorists, gangbanger, kingpin type people. So at the very max, you get like basically terrorists and like founders of various like huge gangs, like the founder of the Latin Kings, people like that go to federal prison.
Yeah, after watching Tree of Logic's video about Candace Owens and Tommy Lauren going at it, Tommy Lauren actually brought up some pretty good points about how people under the influence can do some bad stuff, and I guess that was protected under the First Act, the First Step Act, as Tree of Logic kind of showed how Tommy Lauren screenshotted it. And I was just like, huh, because I get, I get how people under the influence can do pretty bad stuff. I mean, obviously depending on what kind of drug they take, but and stuff like that. Honestly, to me, people in prison, in like, higher end security prisons should just, I don't even, it's going to sound so bad, but like kind of like a work camp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they shouldn't get a vacation where they just sit there and watch cable TV
They
for a
do. They
couple of
do.
years.
They get 3 meals a day. They watch TV.
3 hots and a cot. That's what they call it.
What?
They call it 3 hots and a cot.
Never heard that term.
You've never heard that term? Wow.
I've never heard. I'm sorry. I live in the South.
I think I've heard it on TV, actually. 3 hots and a cot.
Well, I don't live in the South. Well, I live geographically in the South, but culturally, this is not the South.
Right, I understand. Yeah, it's probably more similar to like suburban New York State, except not weather-wise, but culturally.
Depends on where you go in Florida, to be honest with you, because if you go out to like
the Panhandle is supposed to be very southern.
It is, yeah. Like northern Florida is pretty southern. Southern Florida is super. Southern Florida is really like. Well, it depends which part.
Hispanics.
A lot of Hispanics, yeah.
Like Broward County is supposed to be like a northern type culture.
I've actually never been to like the Miami part, but like I heard like literally Liberty City, which is like a really ghetto city in Miami, it's like 96% black.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like no white people.
So, and I know that there's a lot of Hispanics.
There is a lot
in Florida. So
yeah. I mean,
for a long time it was Cubans, and then it more and more Puerto Ricans, and I think even other places they're coming in from. You probably have some Dominicans.
Yeah. I mean, to me it's normal. Like I don't even know what other states like look like, because I've lived in Florida my whole life. I've been to New York, but like I don't know. But Florida, like I said, it's just normal to me. Like I always see like Hispanics or like mixed people, black people, white people,
Yeah. Well, I live in New York City, and when I take the public bus places, and I probably hear more Spanish when I go places than I do English, at least from like other people on the bus. Like the buses themselves, like if you ring the bell, it says like stop requested in English. But there's some ads in Spanish. Most of the ads are still in English mostly. But
it's predominantly English where I live. Like you might hear people speak Spanish, but that's about like it's not a lot of people,
Yeah, it sounds like you're in like a more suburban / rural type area.
Yeah, I live actually in a purple county. So it's like if you go like 30 minutes east to Daytona, it's pretty mixed, But where I am,
that used to be like old people central. When I was growing up, my grandparents lived there, and my dad had been there, but I had never been there. And he was saying, like, you don't want to go to Florida. It's all old people. Like, it was all retired people from New York State.
It's true. It's still true.
Oh, it's still true.
I mean, no, Daytona is kind of ghetto. But like Florida's still the retirement state, I mean, we're the warmest state. We have literally this week it's supposed to be like in the 80s.
So
yeah, but Tampa's pretty. I mean, I haven't been to Tampa in a while, but Tampa's like a lot of old people that live in Tampa. Where I live, it's like mixed between white, black, Hispanic,
Right. Yeah. So I actually the neighborhood where I live has a lot of older people in it for like a part of New York City. But yeah. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
Anyways, back to Candace Owens, Tommy Lauren.
Yes, that debate. The thing is, so I saw Magdalene Rose was posting like, oh, conservative.
Who's that?
She's mostly a Twitterer. She makes videos like 2 minutes, and she is your generation. So she's like, she tweeted out like, oh, you know, young conservative leaders need to like stop acting immature. And I was like, what happened? So then I saw in the comments, she's since deleted that tweet. I think there was like one tweet she left up, but it doesn't have a lot of comments on it. But basically she was tweeting about the war, like she saw the Twitter war go down and she tweeted about it. And she was basically saying like, you know, both of you are immature and this is not how our leaders are supposed to act and everything. And the thing is, I, of course, at the time, I didn't get to see a lot of, so I started to go and look and I saw bits and pieces of the war, but by then Candace had already deleted a lot of it. But then Tree released her video the next day and it came up in my suggestion and I was like, oh yeah.
So why did you decide to make a video about it today, I believe?
I've been talking about the First Step Act. So I actually recorded that video like almost 2 weeks ago. Probably like a couple days after that happened. And then I came down with a nasty sinus cold when I was in the middle of doing the editing. So I'd recorded the audio, edited the audio, and then I put it into the editor, the video editor, and I started editing. And I was about a third of the way done with the video editing, and I came down with this nasty sinus cold, and I just didn't do anything. And then I was like, okay. Meanwhile, the act passed, but I was like, you know what? I still want to put this video out. So I finished the video. There's actually a note at the beginning of the video where I said, you know, what happened, that I started the video.
I read the note. I just didn't really understand.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't understand. How long does it take you to like edit a video?
It depends. That one was kind of intense because I used a lot of graphics in it. And every graphics I put transitions on it. So
yeah, I mean, my videos are pretty simple. I record the video and I post it. Like, I don't really edit my videos that much, you know, like if I use, cause I use OBS, right?
Right.
So if I use like display capture, I might like trim the video a little bit and then post it. Cause I don't know. First of all, video editing is very complicated to me, but also I don't care. Like, that's how you know, like, I'm just like a real person. Like, I just put like, if I mess up, I mess up. You know what I mean? Or
yeah,
like,
unfortunately, a lot of my subscribers complain if I put a video out and they don't think I edited it well enough, which kind of annoys me because a lot of my subscribers, like, I don't grow the way I should. And I think that's because people, like, they're not upvoting, they're not sharing my stuff. And it's like, you know, when I actually put in the work, they don't turn around and like share my videos to like help me get more subscribers. So it's like, should I even bother?
Right.
Now, the video that I did today, about the federal prisons, that one was an OBS video. And I plopped it into an editor because I just got a new computer and I had forgot to put the intro outro into OBS, because what I normally do is I have it in OBS and then when I finish the editor, I click on a different scene and that like runs my outro. So it tacks it right on. But since I didn't have that in yet, so then I plopped that on in an editor. So I've already exported it to a file, but I have to make a thumbnail and upload it. So I'll do that later.
So before I was talking to you, I was watching that debate that you did.
Oh, That horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Well, ish. I mean, like some of the stuff he said was like, bro. And then some of the stuff you said, I was like, bro. Like I don't even understand how did you even get into that? Because like you said the whole thing started when he was like trolling you and then he was like, nah, but I'm gonna go with it. But
he was trolling my comments, and then he kept saying, he was trolling into my comments, and then he kept saying, oh, why won't you debate me? Why won't you debate me? And I finally said, like, fine, I'll debate you. But there was no real like debate topic. It was stupid.
yeah, it just seemed like you two were just arguing over a live stream.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but it was kind of funny because like
and then he used a voice thrower, which was really annoying. So he was getting pissy with me for not going on camera. But meanwhile, not only was he not going on camera, but he was using a voice thrower.
Right. Not, I mean, I will say though, you were kind of throwing him like some very specific extreme scenarios. Like
I was getting really frustrated.
I mean, I would get mad. I'd be like, okay, first of all, those are really, really specific extreme scenarios. You know what I mean? I'd just kind of be like, I wouldn't even know how to respond to that, you know? And then he was getting on you about the camera, and I'm just like, bro, like, she don't want to go on camera. Like, just let it like, it doesn't matter. And I get the whole thing because you said you live in a really, really heavily blue area. So I get the whole thing of like Antifa or whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, I get that, you know?
People can recognize you. Like, people don't even realize that. The people that go out and go to Antifa and like stick a mic in their face and like ask them questions, when they go back, Antifa knows who they are.
Right.
So
I see the reason. I get that you don't put your face on camera. The reason I do is because I don't.
Guys, I'm a female. Like,
right.
If somebody recognizes me out, and they, and I don't want to ever have to like, I'm out somewhere and someone punches me and like I don't know where it came from. I mean, that's the thing, is I'm already kind of paranoid. Mm-hmm. So like, at least I have a reasonable, like, I've had people do start with me because I look young. I look way younger than I am. And I've had, people start with me. Like, that's what people do in New York City. Like, they start shit with people. So Zelix said that's why you carry a blade. Well, I mean, I would not feel comfortable carrying a blade. So, I mean, I have a decent amount of ability to fist fight, but I don't want to sit there and like rely on that. I don't want to have to worry about getting jumped. I'm also a female, I'm only, normal female height, like 5'4", 5'5", something like that. So, I mean, it would be, very easy for, like, if a couple of guys who were Antifa, like, saw me out somewhere. Zelix says, well, as a woman, you can legally kick people in the balls and it's okay.
I'm just glad that
we're not legally allowed to carry mace either.
In New York, really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to carry mace in New York?
It's New York State. This is the state where they're trying to pass a law that you have to hand over the passwords to your social media.
Wow.
Before they will do the background check on you for you to get a gun. Wow. Getting a concealed carry permit is nearly impossible in New York City. People
Wow.
who have guns have a regular gun license, and you still have to, I'm pretty sure, get a license for it.
What is a regular gun license?
So you can take it to the range, but it has to be like in a lock box while you
Wow.
transport it.
Is the city no? Because you live in the city, right?
Yeah, I live in New York
Isn't
City.
isn't the city laws, the city gun laws, more strict than the New York
Yes.
upstate laws?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. That's
I mean,
okay.
there's some counties right around New York City that also have pretty strict laws, but New York City itself has the strictest extra laws. Like the city laws themselves on top of the state. So the state even has some pretty strict laws. It has
Mhm.
something called the Unsafe Act is what we call it, and it's technically called the Safe Act, but it's basically saying that like doctors can decide that you're mentally ill and then you have to have your gun handed over. So I actually read a story about a guy where somebody with the same name as him was checked into a mental hospital and somehow like they showed up at his address and the cops were pulling up and he was like he thought like somebody in his family was hurt, so he goes and he opens the door to like meet the cops and they're like, yeah, hi, we're here to take your guns, and he was like,
Did they
he'd
give him
already opened the door.
did they give him his guns back eventually? Did they
Yeah,
find out?
eventually he got his guns back, but I mean, like, that's crazy, like your property that you legally own.
Right. Florida, I guess, has way more relaxed gun laws than New York City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like you
I mean,
can't.
New York State and California are like the two worst places for freedom.
I don't even know what is a regular gun license like. Because because Florida doesn't have open carry, but we have concealed carry. So like there's a concealed carry license, but like I've never heard of a regular gun license.
Yeah, so you still have I think you have to have a license just to have a gun. And like they have pistol permits. So you can't get a pistol without a pistol permit. You can't even go into a gun range in New York. I don't know if it's New York City or New York State. I know the I was reading up on potentially, like, I was thinking about going into the gun range and just like renting something to use, like, and just like, I figured it would be expensive, and I was looking into it and it was saying I can't even shoot a pistol at the gun range. Like, I can't rent a pistol from the range.
Really?
I can't like take a pistol class or anything. You can't do anything like that. You have to have a pistol permit just to shoot a pistol. So the only thing, because I was curious, the only thing I've ever shot is like an M16. I've never shot a pistol. So I was actually thinking about doing it just because I was curious,
Oh, for me it's opposite. I've shot a pistol, not an M16. I've never
Yeah,
shot
well,
an
I
AR.
think that's the case for most people, but I was in ROTC in the army, so I've never shot anything short. I've only shot um M16, AR-15, somebody else's AR-15s. Um that was like upstate New York. And I think we shot like grenade launchers and stuff in the army.
Hmm.
So,
It's actually legal in the U.S. to own a grenade launcher.
well, I was in the army when I shot a grenade launcher.
No, even just like I could own one if I was of age, but you can't shoot grenades out of it because grenades are illegal. You can shoot like I think they said the most you can shoot out of a grenade launcher is like a flare.
Yeah, I think our grenade launchers that we used were like an attachment to the M16, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the U.S. has such relaxed gun. Like, it's not even just guns. Like, you can own. So in the U.S., you can own guns. You can own tanks. I'm pretty sure you can own an RPG, but I'm not sure about that one. You can own a grenade launcher. You can own a flamethrower. It's just the reason these people don't have any of this stuff is because it's like super expensive.
Yeah. Like if I won the lottery, I would love to like move to like I daydream about winning the lottery and moving to like
Texas.
Tennessee. Tennessee is where I want to live. Because they have like some of the better laws. And Knoxville is one of the few cities that's actually a red city. So
all right, so I'm on the NewYorkCity.gov, and I just want to like see what the gun laws in New York City are.
they're awful.
Let me see. New York City does not honor any other state's permits, and even a New York permit / license to carry is not valid in New York City without a NYC endorsement. Wow.
Yeah.
Dang. Wow. Premises license. This is a restricted type of license. It's issued for your residence or business. The licensee may possess a handgun only on the premise of the address indicated on the front of the license. Wow.
That's the one that I think I was where you can take it to the range in a lockbox and that's like it.
Licensees may also transport their handguns and ammunition in separate locked containers.
Yep. It can't even be loaded when you
No, not even loaded. Like I get them not being loaded, but like it has to be in a separate container. Wow. Directly to and from authorized range for or hunting location. Handguns must be unloaded while being transported. Wow, okay. A carry business license. This license permits the carrying of a handgun concealed on the person. It is valid for the business name, address, and handguns listed on the license. It is not transferable to any other person, business, occupation, or address without the written approval of the license division's commanding officer. That makes sense. This license may also be issued for safety. Okay. Limited carry business license. This is a restricted type of license. The licensee may only carry handguns indicated on the license in accordance with the specific limitations listed thereon. At all other times, the handgun must be safeguarded within the confines of the address listed on the front of the light. I want to see what the special carry license. What is this? Special carry license is valid for the business name. But what is all this stuff about businesses?
Probably like for armed security guards.
Oh, okay.
You know, or like people who own like a liquor store who can like get a gun for their liquor store.
I got you. This actually isn't that long of a PDF. I thought it would be a lot longer. I'm trying to find where it, what's the laws for carrying in a car or in a vehicle?
In New York State?
New York City.
I'm pretty sure it would be the same thing where you have to have the ammunition and the only to and from the range ammunition and the gun in separate locked boxes.
So you can't like
just have a gun in your glove box. No, you'd have to have like maybe if you have like a concealed carry permit, you could possibly. But yeah.
What is this? What is the? Oh God, this is so different.
They are very anti-gun in New York. Like even people who are Republicans in New York City, you start talking to them about Second Amendment and they don't care. Let me tell you, I know very few people who have ever shot a gun, even though I know, because most Orthodox Jews are actually politically conservative. So most of them like are Republican. Some of them aren't, especially like females and millennials.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people like Orthodox Jews vote something like 70% Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Orthodox neighborhoods went for Trump.
Okay? So I just want to like compare and contrast to Florida's gun laws. Okay, so in New York City, do you have to inform the officer that you have a firearm in the vehicle?
Probably, I'm sure.
Okay.
I don't think you're even really allowed to have one in a vehicle, though.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have like a concealed carry permit, I think. In which case it would be like on your person.
What's the age to buy a gun in where you live, like New York City?
I don't know for sure, but it's probably 21.
Yeah, it's 21 in Florida too, because the freaking Parkland shooting. Because it used to be 18 for a long gun and 21 for a pistol, but then when the Parkland shooting happened, the Florida government was like, nope, it's 21 for everything. And it sucks because for my birthday, I wanted an AR, but my mom wasn't going to buy me one anyways. But
Because it's always Broward County.
yeah, right. Freaking.
Oh, the hanging chads from Bush, that was Broward County too.
The what?
The issues with the voter fraud or the all the votes that
Yeah,
magically appeared.
Yeah.
All of that stuff happened in Broward County.
Yep.
So Magdalene, the one I mentioned earlier, she did a video and she was like, and there's crazy stuff going on in Broward County because it's always Broward County. And I went and I looked and like that's also during the Bush election, which was before you were born.
Yeah, it was. It was the year before I was born, yep.
So the Bush election before you were born, there was all this like, well, he probably won, but we don't know, and hanging chads down in Florida. So, like, I didn't really remember Broward County from that. But when she said that, I went and I looked. And sure enough, all of those all of that something hinky that happened in Florida for that election was also Broward County. And then also there was this like Cheetle Woman that some Democrat sued because hinky stuff happened during a primary election in Broward County.
Sorry, I'm like reading through the Florida gun laws still.
Yeah. So CLC in Florida, is that one of your people? I think maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, so you said in New York you can't carry a gun in a car, like at all?
I don't think so.
Like
maybe,
with a license or
if you have a concealed carry, you probably can. But like nobody has that. Like Trump has a concealed carry, but like nobody has that. He has it because he's like rich and a public figure.
right.
I mean, the only people who would have stuff like that would be like public figures or people who are, like I said, like armed security guards, which means you have to go through additional background checks.
Right. Oh, yep. It's 21 years old to buy a. Yep.
Any kind of stricture that there is that anybody has, we have it in New York. When it comes to guns, at least, especially. I mean, at least we are allowed to give out straws in a restaurant if you're a waitress, unlike California. But I mean, yeah, California and New York like compete to be like who can be more insane. Like California is trying to create taxpayer-funded injection sites, and Bill de Blasio is trying to compete with them and get the injection sites before California.
I mean, they're definitely competing to see who's the most crazy.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't believe we have somebody like I wasn't that political when de Blasio got elected the first time. And I was just kind of like, oh, we got a new mayor. And like I started reading stuff and I was like, I don't think I like this new mayor. And all of this stuff, like, and plus Trump running and winning has, I've gotten more political and I'm more involved in local politics. So
Right.
this past election, I campaigned for 4 different candidates.
Which is actually a big thing because you live in like the biggest city in the world.
Yeah.
So being involved in local
or
politics.
At least the biggest. It's the most populous city in New York, in US, at least.
Yeah.
I think there are some cities that are more populous in Europe, but
New York City is the most recognizable city in the world. I'll tell you that.
I mean, New York, Paris, London. It's pretty much
Miami.
Those are the top 3.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like being involved in local politics where you're at is actually a very big thing.
Right, exactly. So that's something that I'm doing. I joined a Republican club in New York City, and we're going to be, it actually just started up. So one of the candidates that I campaigned for, she started the club. And so our first meeting was less than a month ago, and we're really going to kick it into high gear, and we're going to go out and try to recruit more people and really, try to make changes.
Where is Suffolk County?
That's one of the counties on Long Island.
Okay. I've never heard of it.
So it's Suffolk and Nassau. I don't remember which one's which. I can never remember which one is the one that's close to me and which one is.
What borough is Ocasio-Cortez representing or going to represent?
Right. It's the next district over from where I live. Very, 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 very close to where I live.
But which one is that? Is that Brooklyn or Bronx or?
Queens and the Bronx.
Oh,
it straddles the two. It's like half of her district is in the Bronx and half of her district is in Queens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm stuck on this gun law thing because like that's crazy. Like it's so strict. I was actually reading Texas's gun laws and I was like, Texas gun laws are so like relaxed. Like,
yeah, I used to live in Texas.
Yeah.
And these 2 guys in my complex used to give me problems. Illegals, probably, because they barely spoke English. And I called the cops to ask them for advice. And they were like, yeah, you got to take some self-defense courses. And the guy's like, get yourself mace. Make sure you get yourself some mace. Like, he really like pushed for me to get mace. Yeah, because I probably could have gotten a gun there. I think I asked him, and he was like, nah, that's not really necessary. He probably figured I wouldn't have been comfortable with one, but I would have actually been very comfortable with a gun. Oh, Suffolk County is the county that's further out.
I just love how Texas is very like chill. It's more like individualized, I think in Texas they would actually honor a what's it called? Like a legal murder, you know what I mean?
Oh, they do. There was a story where a guy came out to his shed. He sent his like 8-year-old or 10-year-old daughter or something like that out to like the shed or the barn or something to take care of something. And he started hearing noises, and he went out with his gun, of course, and found that like this illegal was raping his daughter, and he shot the guy, and it was fine.
Well, I mean, yeah, like, yeah.
Oh, no, if that happened in New York, you'd go to jail for murder.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
No cancel doctrine here. We have right to flee or something like that, where like if somebody like if somebody like starts beating you up on the street, you're supposed to like run away.
That reminds me.
Legally.
Do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of when I was in middle school.
Insanity.
Well, yeah.
And Europe is like that, but it's like that and even worse. It's on steroids.
I remember it reminds me of when I was in middle school, and if there was like a fight in the school, the principal would be like, the principal said like, don't fight back, like just like, I don't know what she said. She said like,
run away and go get a teacher.
Yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of. Like, oh, if somebody's beating you up, don't fight back. Just run and go get the cops. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, I don't think they understand. Like, in that situation, it's kind of like it's all like in the moment stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything is like in the moment, and it's like, I mean, I'm glad that Florida has, stand your ground, even though it came under attack because of that whole thing in Clearwater, which is out near Tampa on the west side of Florida, if you didn't know. Do you remember what happened?
Is that the video where they got in an argument and like somebody shot somebody and it was right on video?
Yeah, so what happened?
Months ago?
Yeah, what happened was I get how like both parties kind of instigated it though, so I can see.
Can you do me a favor? Keep talking. I'm gonna mute you. I need to go to the other room real quick if you want to tell the story.
Oh.
Or I'm gonna mute myself, not mute you.
Yeah.
Okay. Carry the stream for like 2 minutes.
Okay. So basically it was just what happened was I get how both parties kind of instigated it. So basically what happened was this dude and his girlfriend or whatever pulled up to a gas station and parked in a handicap spot, and they didn't have the handicap marker. They didn't have any handicap markers. So there's a guy who I guess was a regular at the store or at the convenience store, and he I guess he was very particular about people parking in handicap spots. Nobody knows why, but he was. And so he pulled up, went up to the car, and by this time the guy and his son went into the store, and the only person that was left in the car was his girlfriend or whatever. So anyways, this dude who pulls up, who is particular about people parking in handicap spots without the marker, goes up to the car and starts telling her like, you shouldn't park here and whatnot. And they might have argued a little bit, judging off of the other guy's reaction, but they were probably arguing about her parking in the handicap spot and whatever. So then the guy comes out of the convenience store, and it's funny because like instead of this is where I can say where both parties instigated. So he comes out of the convenience store with his son, and instead of going up saying, hey, what's the problem? Like, what's going on? Like, and then being like, oh, okay, like, sorry, we were just, going into the store to get some snacks or whatever. Like, we're leaving. Instead of just going up to him and asking what the problem was, he just goes up to him and just pushes him down to the floor. So the dude like gets pushed down to the floor, and the guy who came out of the store is like ready to fight, that whole stance where they're like pulling their shorts up or whatever, getting ready to fight. I never understood why they pull their shorts up, but so he's getting ready to fight, and then the dude on the ground just pulls out a gun and shot him, right? Shot him once. He didn't shoot multiple. He only shot once. Okay. So then the dude who gets shot runs back into the store. I think he shot him in the chest, I believe. Runs back into the store, and then he doesn't collapse immediately. I think he does. He collapses, but not immediately because obviously he ran back into the store. But he ended up dying. And then the dude who shot him ended up getting off because Florida has that stand your ground law. So they considered it a self-defense move, and my thing is like, well, obviously we wouldn't know. We don't know what would have happened if he hadn't or if he didn't have the gun on him. So it's impossible to tell what would have happened. But if I were to speculate, I think that if he didn't have the gun, either one, the guy would have eventually got on top of him and started beating him, or two, the guy would wait for the other guy to get up, and then they would both fight, and then they would both go to jail for domestic disturbance or whatever. But yeah, so it's just sad, but I guess the law decided that it was a self-defense move. And see, Florida, I love Florida. Florida is my favorite state. All right. Well, actually, yeah, because it's my home state. I love Florida, but just New York City with their gun laws, like that's crazy. Like, to me, that's just crazy that the gun laws, the gun laws are, I don't understand the gun laws in New York City, because in Florida, I'm actually looking through the laws right now, and it says in Florida, you don't have to inform the officer that you have a gun. Let's see. You can carry a gun in a vehicle without a permit if you're 21 years or 21 or older. You can carry a gun in a car. It says it is lawful for a person 18 years, but it's 21 now. But I'm gonna assume this is kind of like an older. They haven't updated it, but 21 years of age or older to possess a concealed firearm or other weapon for self-defense or other lawful purposes within the interior of a private vehicle without a license, if the firearm or other weapon is securely encased or is otherwise not readily accessible for immediate use. Securely encased means in a glove compartment, whether or not locked, snapped in a holster, in a gun case, whether or not locked, in a zippered gun case, or in a closed box or container which requires a lid or cover to be opened for access. So it sounds to me I can literally take a gun and put it in a Tupperware. Sounds to me I can take a gun and put it in a Tupperware in the passenger seat, and I guess that would be a closed box or container which requires a lid or cover to be opened for access. It's funny. Open carry is illegal in Florida, even if you have a permit or license. Under section 790.25 3H JK of the Florida statutes, there are some limited situations where it is legal to open carry, such as traveling to and being engaged in lawful target shooting, fishing, hunting, or and camping. Okay, that's cool. It is legal to carry in the following areas: state parks, state national forest, state game management units, and roadside rest areas. That's interesting. Possessing or discharging weapons or firearms at a school-sponsored event or on school property is prohibited. Penalties, exceptions. A person shall not possess a firearm, electric weapon, or device, destructive device, or other weapon as defined in some long code, including a razor blade or box cutter, except as authorized in support of the school sanctioned activities at a school-sponsored event or on the property of any school, school bus, or school bus stop. However, a person may carry a firearm in a vehicle pursuant to, that's a long code, except that school districts may adopt written and published policies that waive the exception in this subparagraph. It's just super long. This is super long stuff. Anyway, so I was just talking about the gun laws in Florida.
Yeah, I heard. I was getting food and stuff. Use
of force. Home protection, use or threatened use of deadly force. Presumption of fear of death or great bodily harm. 1, a person who is in a dwelling or residence in which the person has a right to be, has no duty to retreat, and has the right to stand his or her ground and use or threaten to use a non-deadly force against another when and to the extent that the person reasonably believes that such conduct is necessary to defend himself or herself or another against the other's imminent use of unlawful force, or B, deadly force if he or she reasonably believes that using or threatening to use such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another, or to prevent the imminent commission of a forcible felony. Two, a person is presumed to have held a reasonable fear of imminent peril of death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another when using or threatening to use. Where to go? I lost it. Okay.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm here.
Oh, you lost.
I lost the. No, I lost the my place in when I was reading. The person against whom the defensive force was used or threatened was in the process of unlawfully and forcefully entering or had an unlawfully and forcibly entered a dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle, or if that person had removed or was attempting to remove another person against another against that person's will from the dwelling, residence, or okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure in New York City it's a lot more strict.
That's Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have decent. That's why they do this stuff in like. This stuff happens in places like Broward County. You know, highly blue in a state that they're trying to flip. They're desperately trying to flip Florida.
I mean, it's
like
kind
a
of
full-on Democrat state.
It's kind of working based off of the 2018 election.
Yeah, it's scary.
It is scary. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if the whole U.S. could just have the laws of Texas, that would be great.
I mean, there's some other states that are good too, like I said, Tennessee's supposed to have good laws.
I heard Vermont has pretty good laws.
Yeah, Vermont has good gun laws. They're a very blue state, so it's kind of weird.
That is weird. I know Idaho has pretty good gun laws. And Wyoming. And it's funny because
usually very Republican states have good gun laws, but Vermont is like, it's got so much rural area to it, so it's like white rural elitist types, which is
and that
weird.
goes back to what the Red Elephants always says about how like the most homogenous states have the lowest crime in general, you know, like Idaho.
I think is from Vermont, if I'm not mistaken. You know that I don't really watch his channel very much, but I know he's very popular.
Yeah, places like Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Idaho, Wyoming, places like that have like very low crime because it's very homogenous. And even if the race isn't the same, it's just the culture. Because to me, it's like I don't care about race, like because there are very white people who act ghetto and there are very black people who act country. So it's like I don't mind the race. What it's about is culture to me. So like Idaho, even though it's mostly white, but there are black people and stuff, you don't really hear of much going on in Idaho or Wyoming or South Dakota or places like that,
Well, and black people used to be Republicans. It took a lot of. One thing I don't agree with the Red Elephants on is they act like it is all race, and to some extent they may be right, but what they're failing to talk about is the fact that the left has been working very hard to get it that way. So, yes, 95% of black people vote to the left, like something like 88 to 95%. Yes, that's true. But the left has been working on overdrive to make that a reality since like at least the 60s, probably before then.
Yeah, I just think it's because of all the government programs that they want, you know? Like I don't like honestly, if I were just like the ultimate dictator of the US, it would be like a pre FDR type economy, you know?
Yeah.
When you can literally just start your own business, have whatever kind of gun that you want, you know?
If you can't hack it, you can't hack it. And people, I mean, the thing is, people used to rely on family. And I know, like, my father used to say, well, I pay all these taxes. Go get on the government. I'm not going to help you. He couldn't have said that if there weren't all those programs. So.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I would heavily restrict welfare. Heavily. And I also think another contributing factor is technology too. You know, I think that's a contributing factor because people my age like to abuse technology, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love technology. Like it's great, but I think people my age like to heavily, and even millennials like to heavily abuse technology, you know? And that's why I don't like what was it, the thing, you know, Millennial Millie?
Yes, I follow her.
She recently made a video about how Facebook is giving private like DMs to companies or selling them or whatever. And I just don't like that because it's like we live in a world where there are very, very, very smart people, especially with technology. And then you got stuff like the deep web and the dark web and stuff like that. Right. And it's like
it's scary how much
I know. I don't
like they always ask for your phone number I will not give my phone number as much as I can help it. Like I've tried to start an extra Twitter a few times and they keep asking for my phone number and I won't give it to them. So I'm going to have to like go to a coffee shop or something and try to start. How old is RC? Do you want to say?
I'm 17.
So he's 17. He's a senior in high school. And yeah, he's a
person.
Yes.
You're
a cis white male. Bash the patriarchy.
Oh, that whole argument. Oh my gosh. See, they claim patriarchy, but then it's like, well, why aren't there more women in government? Well, it's because, you know, women that graduate college, they don't graduate with business degrees or law degrees or anything like that, you know? Statistically.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to get women in government. They have to go through all of these, you know, the things that they're doing to try to make it happen.
It's like, because, you know, to be in government, you just have to be elected. Well, to be in
look at Ocasio, yes, exactly. $174,000 a year, and she doesn't even know how many branches, how many chambers of government there are, and what are the 3 chambers of government? 3 chambers of government. So I'm sorry, are we in England now?
I understand what she was saying, though. I think we all did, but the thing that really got me was she said there was 3 chambers of Congress. I was just like,
well, there's 2 chambers of Congress.
Right, and there's 3 branches.
3 branches of government, and then she named the wrong 3. She named
what did she say? She said executive
and House as if they were separate branches instead of the same branch.
What did she said? She said executive. She said executive, the House and the Senate.
She said president, House, and Senate. So
well, I guess we're getting rid of the judicial system. Like, I guess we don't need that anymore.
Well, I mean, on the U.S. system of government. The judicial system is where the laws are now made.
You mean
learn in elementary school that the laws are made in the legislative branch, but in actuality, for the last 20 years, I noticed that when I was in high school, I was like, wait a minute. Why, they would be talking about, oh, well, the Supreme Court ruled on this. And I noticed that like, basically the Supreme Court is making laws.
I think Congress makes the law. It's just the Supreme Court rules if it's constitutional or not, which actually...
That's the way it's supposed to work, but that's not really happening anymore.
Actually,
is what I'm saying.
Judicial review is not even constitutional. Did you know that?
Probably.
Judicial review was actually what's it called? What's his face? John. It was John. It was a one of the Supreme Court.
John Jay?
No. He was a Supreme Court. He was a, what do they call the top Supreme Court judge? What's it called? The Chief Justice? Yeah.
Chief Justice, yeah.
He was a Chief Justice back in the 1800s, and I can't remember his name, but he actually...
Thinking of John Jay.
No, it's not John Jay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because he's one of the
John... Oh, no, I know. It was Marshall. His name was Marshall.
Oh, okay.
He was a Chief Justice back in like the 1800s, and he's actually the one that gave the Supreme Court that power, not Congress. And so actually judicial review is not even the only thing. If we literally followed the Constitution, the only thing the Supreme Court is supposed to do is rule on cases. This, like, basically the Supreme Court has the last say in like any case. You know what I mean? Yeah. So judicial review technically isn't constitutional, but it's like been that way for so long, and it works. But it's been that way for so long that it's like, it's just like the Bill of Rights. Like technically we can amend against the Bill of Rights, but it's like it's been there for so long and it works so well that it's like,
Well, the first one, the First Amendment actually says Congress shall make no law.
Really? Where's my pamphlet? Oh, there. Is it up there? Oh yeah. Okay. I wanna see. Oh, okay, yeah, it does. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
They should have put that in the Second Amendment too.
I know, right?
That would have been great. Congress shall make no law abridging any of these rights. That'd be great if they put that in the Second Amendment.
That's why, like you pointed out, why they would want to use a con, because if they have delegates doing it, that's not Congress.
Wait, but hang on.
So that's why they would be able to wipe out the First Amendment.
So no, wait. So it says Congress shall.
Amendment says Congress shall make no law. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, but it never says anything about amending, because it says Congress shall make no law, but there's a difference between amendments and laws.
Well,
so I think technically Congress could make an amendment to the Constitution, amending the First Amendment. They just can't make a law against it. You know what I mean?
But then you see that if they sent delegates in a con.
Oh yeah, then forget the Constitution.
Not Congress. So, like you point out, and you said this was the father of the head of the high school. Or it's like a teen Republican group. It's not with you. Probably don't have clubs in your school because your school is so small.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so you have like outside clubs with like homeschoolers and the county and stuff.
Yep.
So you're in like a teen Republican club, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that a lot of homeschool kids?
I think the president is homeschooled, but I'm not sure about everybody else.
So the guy whose dad was basically schooling you on this stuff that was like a homeschool father.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if he's the one who does the homeschooling or if he does it like online.
Yeah, well, it's probably the mother who does it anyway,
I
but
mean,
still,
I'm not
the
sure about his.
father is like of the mentality to homeschool his kids.
Oh yeah, his dad is like extremely smart. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even in a lot of these families where the mother is actually the one who homeschools, a lot of times the father still like help the kids with, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote school type stuff like at night or whatever.
Yeah,
On
and
the
that's why the
weekends.
role of the father is so important.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
that's not.
also another thing is a lot of those families, um, a lot of those families I'm finding also they have like family businesses. So there's a lot of flexibility for the mother to like work at the family business and for the father to work with the kids a little bit. And then, and even like older children work at the family business as part of their schooling almost.
Yeah, I just think when it comes to how the structure of the home should be, I mean, I really believe in a traditional family structure,
Right.
because I think it gets broken down into biology and psychology and stuff like that. Even though I'm not like a super expert in both of those things, but I think it gets broken down because men have a certain mindset and women have a certain mindset. Um, and they're different mindsets, even no matter how much feminists like to say that they're the same, they're not. So I just think the traditional family structure works
And
the
another
best.
issue is unless like you're independently wealthy, it's very difficult to have one parent trying to work and like run a family as well.
Oh yeah, for one person to be doing both of those things at the same time, yeah, no.
I mean, even in a two-parent family, when the children are young, if you have a lot of young children, it can be very difficult.
It depends on what kind of job you have though, because my mom has a pretty well-paying job, but she also is a single mother.
Ah, how
I
many
mean,
kids how many
sort of.
kids are there then?
Sort of.
Just
She's
you
sort of a
or
single mother. She has a boyfriend, but it's sort of. No, it's me and I have two sisters.
so you and two sisters and then it's just your mom. Do you have any like extended family that watched you guys
My
when you were
mom my
younger?
mom my mom has a boyfriend. So it's kind of like
But like was it three little kids when you were younger and like only one parent? Or did they
no
like
no no no. My
divorce when
s-
you
my
got older and
sisters
stuff?
my sisters are young.
Ah, so you
Yeah.
probably get stuck watching them sometimes.
So no, never. Because they just go to their dad's house.
Ah, oh,
Yeah.
are they half siblings?
Yeah, they're half siblings, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, but yeah, my situation's kind of weird though.
so like my parents were divorced,
Hmm.
and after my parents got divorced, my mother moved into an apartment, and my grandmother had been living with my aunt, like my mom's sister. So my grandmother went and she moved in with us. So our first apartment that we had for like 2-3 years
Hmm.
was a 2 bedroom. So me and my grandmother shared a room, and my mom and my sister shared a room.
Hmm.
And then my mom moved into a 3 bedroom. So my grandmother had a tiny bedroom that normally kids shared. My sister and I had the master bedroom, and my mom had the medium sized bedroom.
Oh, that's a good mother.
Yeah, she said, well, there's two of you, so it makes sense for you guys to have the big room. I mean, it wasn't that much bigger than my mom's room.
Hang on, I'll be back real quick.
Okay. So, how is everybody doing in the chat here? So, yeah. So, here we are having a little chat. I think almost everybody in the chat, a lot of you guys are from Right Conservatives channel. So let's see. It looks like he recently did some videos about the border wall as well. So he's got some really good stuff on his channel. So you guys should definitely check out his actual channel. And we hope to have him more often. Hopefully he'll be a regular on the channel. Maybe he'll be like a stream buddy. I'm trying to find some smaller YouTubers, because people with a large sub count, when they arrange to do live streams with me, a lot of them don't show up. So I've been trying to ask like people with a smaller sub count, because hopefully they would actually show up. So yeah. So I don't remember when I found his channel, but I found his channel at one point, and then I subbed him, and then recently I checked him out. So and he has a Discord server, and although almost everybody on it is also on my Discord server.
Sorry, I drank a lot of water.
Back. You had to run to the latrine.
The latrine? What?
In the army you have to say latrine or you do push-ups.
Really?
And you don't want to do push-ups when you need to pee, so you learn real quick to say latrine.
That's strange. Why do you have to say latrine? What?
That's what you have to say when you're in the army. You have to. You can't say use either. You have to say utilize the latrine. So, like when you ask permission to go potty, drill sergeant, I need to utilize the latrine, or drill sergeant, may I utilize the latrine? Thought about going in the military? You've got the military cut already.
I did. I wanted to. I actually wanted to go to West Point for a while. Well, not a while, but for a few months, and then I was like, you know what? Politics is more interesting. Because I wanted to go straight. I wanted to go to West Point because I wanted to go straight to officer. You know. But then I was like, you know what? Politics, journalism, either journalism or just being a politician, that's more interesting. Being in the military, you know.
Well, I mean, look up what they have. Maybe there's something you'd want to do. You could do like 2 or 4 years or whatever, and then get out and pursue a civilian career. When I went in, I was like, oh my gosh, I signed up for 4 years. It's so long. And then I ended up getting out. And then, like, a few years later, I was like, oh, if I had done all my time, it would have already been up by now. Like that 4 years ended up going a lot faster than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though I wasn't like in for it, but I think the smallest you can go in for is like 2 years. It depends on what you go in for. So
I just I don't know, army, military. I mean, I have some military family, you know.
That doesn't surprise me.
Or,
you seem like you would.
Yeah, or veterans in my family. So I mean, I get military. You know, most of my family is actually pretty conservative, for the most part, except for a few people. But
I mean, I think most of Florida is, except for like.
No, they're all in New York. My whole family is like in New York.
New York State.
Yeah, upstate near. Do you know where Troy is?
Yeah, that's near Albany.
Yeah, they all live there, or Brunswick.
Brunswick. I'm not sure where that is.
It's like right above Troy.
Oh, okay. So it's also like, near Albany.
Yeah. It's like the country part, the countryside. That's where like my uncle lives. But yeah, most of my family lives like in Troy. And then as for my family in Florida, It's either
And you're
like
wearing a Buffalo t-shirt.
me. Oh, I mean, I literally just threw this shirt on. I was like, oh, this shirt looks nice.
You know that's where I grew up, right?
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard they got hammered with snow.
Always.
Always.
People tell me like, "Oh, did you hear Buffalo got hammered by snow, like, and water is wet? Yeah, whatever. It's winter. You like from like it starts snowing.
Well, I mean, water isn't actually wet though.
It starts snowing. Usually, the first time it snows is like the very end of October. Like a lot of times, it snows on Halloween, and like it'll snow usually late October, doesn't stick, and then November it'll start snowing, and it never fully melts until like April.
Nah, see, Florida.
Sometimes May. Sometimes it'll even snow in May.
Nah, Florida is like. Let's see. I guess I'll start in January. In January, I mean, to you, it would be like mildly cold or mildly chilly. To me, it's like I'm dying of frostbite.
Well, I lived in Texas, so actually I do get that.
Oh, so for me, it's like
it snowed the winter I was there. I lived there for a little over a year.
It doesn't snow in Florida.
Well, basically,
have you been to Florida?
Yeah, of course.
Which part?
I visited a college on the Panhandle, and I was also in Miami one time.
Was it FSU?
No.
Oh, okay.
Pensacola Christian College.
No idea. Okay. I have no idea.
Have you ever heard of Bob Jones University? It's that kind of school.
Oh, I freaking... I went to a Christian private school. That's the school I was talking about before I started going to the really small school. And they got all of their stuff from Bob Jones. And it was like...
I visited Bob Jones, too. I went on a college trip with my old church. Church that I went to when I was in high school, they wanted everyone to go to like Bob Jones or similar schools.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of Christianity I was a part of when I was a Christian. And so we visited Bob Jones, and then we went down to Pensacola. Then we went up to Tennessee Temple, which they also liked. And then we went to Cedarville, which they were like, we don't like the school. We don't like the school. They allowed people to wear jeans, and that was not acceptable. But I mean, Orthodox Jews, we have like a similar dress code to like Bob Jones. Like, if I go out in my neighborhood wearing a pair of pants, like, people are going to grab me by the arm and, like, pull me to the side and be like, you can't do that!
Anyways, but the weather in Florida, back to the weather.
Yeah.
It's like, so in January, it's like, I don't know, maybe like high 50s or like 60s. Or, well, that's during the day. And then at night, it can be like 20s, 30s. And then spring is really nice because my birthday is like right when it starts to warm up. So that's great. Spring is when it starts getting back into like the 80s, or like 70s, 80s, and then at night it can be like 60, 50s, 60s. And then the summer is like the worst part of the year. So I know everybody's like, oh, summer, Florida, yeah. No, summer's like the worst part of the year because that's
really hot.
No, that's not even why. It's because we get so much rain. So much rain. And then like it sucks because like
and then it's humid.
Yeah, and then I gotta mow the grass, and then the grass is like freaking tall, and I'm just like, it's so I hate it.
Yeah, like when I lived in Texas, it got really hot, but it was a dry heat. Mm-hmm. So it used to get over 100 like all the time.
Yeah, no, in Florida, it's like in the summer, it'll be like 90s, and then you can go walk like a half mile and you'll be like sweating, even though your body won't be tired. You'll just be like sweating, right. And it's like and then but at the beach it's nice though, because at the beach it's like I don't know. The wind, yeah. You know, it's just nice at the beach. But if you live inland, it's just like sweat and like you have to have like a towel to like it sucks. And then there's the rain and it just rains. It'll rain and then see in Florida's weird because it can rain for the whole day or it can rain for like 5 minutes. You never know when the rain's gonna stop. You know?
I mean, that's how it is in New York.
But I mean, like, is it really rain though, or is it like a drizzle?
I mean, yeah, we can get like rain for.
Yeah.
Like there'll be times like I'm gonna do laundry and then I see it's raining, so I don't do laundry, and then like I realize it basically only rained for 5 minutes. It's like I could have actually done laundry.
And then another thing is hurricanes too. Get those like we started getting those like every year.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
We've
I know.
gotten a few hurricanes in New York, but not really.
Yeah,
you'll
probably get like a category 1 or like a tropical storm.
Yeah, the worst one we had, I think, was Superstorm Sandy.
When was that?
A few years ago, maybe 2014.
Do you guys name your snowstorms? Like when you get a snowstorm, do you name them like a hurricane?
I don't know. We don't really get snowstorms here the way they do. Like in Buffalo, where I grew up, it would usually just be like blizzard of 1984, you know. Blizzard of 77 is like epic. Everyone in Buffalo talks about the blizzard of 77.
What was that one like?
I was like a baby, but I've seen pictures where like snow was incredibly high. You get drifts. That's the thing. You know, when you get a really bad blizzard in Buffalo, everything shuts down. So the last one that I went through, that actually did have a name. They called it Storm of the Century because it was November of 20,000, like 2000.
Yeah, I was like 20,000. Yeah, 2000. Yeah.
And they called it the Storm of the Century. They made jokes. They were like, they said 3 to 5. We all thought it was going to be inches, not feet. It was, and it hit on a weekday.
Mm-hmm.
It was not really predicted. That was another thing, is it wasn't really predicted by the weather people.
Are they usually predicted?
Sometimes they aren't, but we've always gotten lucky that a lot of the ones that aren't predicted like hit like on a weekend or something.
Mm-hmm.
This was on, I think, the Monday before Thanksgiving. So like everybody was at work. Nobody was on vacation because you're not allowed to like take vacation days on a week like before Thanksgiving, because usually companies won't pay for the 2 days off a holiday if you take other days off.
So everybody was like stuck inside?
Well, I was working in downtown Buffalo, and at this point I didn't have a car. I had a car, but like it was off the road or something. And I took the bus to work and I got stuck. And then I had to stay in a hotel overnight, but then I still couldn't get home because the buses weren't running. Mm-hmm. So I ended up going home with a coworker who lived with her boyfriend. Mm-hmm. So I spent like 2 days at her house with her boyfriend, who was kind enough to tell her she could bring me home. And then they actually took me with them for Thanksgiving. And then she dropped me off at home after Thanksgiving dinner. So, because she was like, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Like, by that time, like, we were friends. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I was just going to, spend it alone. And she was like, no, hi, Josh, you're coming with us. We have to go right by where, by where you live. So her Thanksgiving was not too far from where I lived. So they took me with them. And then they dropped me off at home on their way back home. So, that's
nice.
I don't remember if I worked the next day. Maybe not.
I'm trying to remember.
I worked in a call center. That was when I worked for Digivision.
No idea what that is.
It was a contractor that did customer service for like companies like Best Buy and Radio Shack, whenever people would get a satellite dish installed, we had the installers, and like we were like the customer service who would like book the installers, who were just basically like people who taught themselves how to install a satellite dish and just would declare themselves. And these people in rural areas, they would make good money because they'd be like the only ones. So like they'd be like, I don't know, I don't feel like doing it. And we'd have to like bargain with them to get them to take the jobs.
So. Yeah. Trying to remember the hurricanes that we've had. I mean, the last one, what was the last one? Oh, the last one we had was Irma. Yeah, that was the last one. Yo, last year was crazy though, because there was like 3 of them. Like there was Irma, which was like the main one that we all focused on. And then there was one like off the coast of Mexico. And then there was one like right behind Irma that we were all worried about. And Irma, because Irma was a category 5, I think, which is like the
yeah, that's high.
The strongest one. And they said by the time it reached Florida, it should be a category 3, which it was. When it hit Florida, it was a category 3. But it teared Puerto Rico up big time. Like Puerto Rico went without power for like 6 months.
Is that the one that they like raked Trump over the coals because of, or is that the other one? There was one like his first year in office, like right after he got in office, there was one that hit Puerto Rico and they just raked him over the coals for it. And he sent down like all this water and food, and the mayor of the main city down there, like basically like, oh, we have no water. She did a live stream and she was like, we have nothing. She's standing in front of like pallets and pallets of bottled water.
Yeah, that's the one where everybody was flipping out about Trump because he went down there and then he was like throwing paper towels into a crowd of like people and whatnot. And so they were all like, oh, it's so unpresidential to do. And I'm just like, bro, like, chill. They're just having fun.
I hate the way they say, unpresidential to him. He's funny, though. He'll be like, I can be presidential. And then, like, he'll make, like, this goofy face. And he'll, like, be like, hello, how are you? I am presidential.
Yeah.
Like, he's like a stand-up comedian when he speaks to his base.
But I love Trump, though, because he's like that's how I know he's, like, a real person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mostly like Trump. There's been a few things about his policy that I haven't been happy with. I wasn't happy with like the incidences with Syria.
He's pulling troops out of there, you know that?
Yeah, but I'm happy about that. And I wasn't happy about him backing up this First Step Act, but I mean, there's probably stuff behind the scenes where I don't know.
Lobbyists.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, I never really paid attention to a president before this. I kind of paid attention a little bit to Obama because I think it was 2008, like after he got elected, after he took office. I happened to, not because of him, but I had a lot of friends who had a subscription to a particular paper, so I subscribed to that paper. It was like this Jewish paper, but they also cover like secular news. And I had a blog. It was before I didn't YouTube at the time, but I had a blog, and I was like, I was mostly talking about dating, and everybody was ragging on me because they said I was so negative. So I was like, okay, I'll talk about politics.
Isn't it like a Jewish thing about dating or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know, like, because my whole family is like Christian or some type of, they acknowledge there's a higher power, you know?
Right.
Well, that's like one of my cousins is like that, but yeah, my cousin is kind of like that, you know, he acknowledges a higher, but anyway, it's not the point. But most of my family is Christian. So I kind of, and I was raised Christian. So I kind of, you know, when you reference certain things, I kind of, understand. But I mean, the Jewish religion is kind of similar, except the whole New Testament thing. But But honestly, to me, like I said, I don't care. I'm like agnostic or whatever. So I'm just like,
I mean, in some ways, like I would say an Orthodox Jew has more in common with a fundamentalist Christian than they do with like a Reformed Jew. And this is something I try to get through to people.
what's a Reformed Jew? What's the difference?
So Reformed Jews,
Huh.
they teach they mostly talk about there's like one verse where it says make the world better.
What
Tikkun olam, make the world better.
what
Now
book is that in?
there's more to the verse saying like make it better like in the ways of the Lord or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But so they use that verse, that half of the verse, and they turn it into like this pro-social justice stuff. So when you hear people say like Jews are behind all this crap, it's like yes and no. Like I'll even admit like Reform Jews, they actually teach this stuff in their synagogues. And they used to be more pro-Israel, but they're becoming less so because they're getting sucked into the narrative that the Palestinians are victims, and they love victims. They're all about, the victim. All of this like leftyism and Reform Judaism, man, those two are two peas in a pod.
So what is a Orthodox Jew then?
So Orthodox Jews, in a lot of ways, we're more similar to like a fundamentalist Christian. Like we have dress codes. I mean, they're socially enforced.
Oh, like a Baptist.
Yeah, like we have to wear skirts below. Like as women, we have to wear skirts below our knees. I mean, there's some people who are more modern, but still, most Orthodox Jews like we're supposed to cover our elbows. So like women usually wear like a 2-shirt combo. To make sure you cover like your elbows and like make sure like your booby crack doesn't show. Like if you lean over or something, you don't want your booby crack to show.
Yeah. I go to, well, I'm forced to go to a non-denominational Christian church. So basically they just like follow the Bible and what it says. And it's definitely not like what you're describing.
Okay, yeah. So like Bob Jones University, like they have a dress code too. And like Jews, men and women don't touch each other, which is also similar to
like at all?
I mean, if you're married or like it's
no, I mean
relative.
like no physical contact at all.
Generally, like when we deal with non-Jews, we usually just there's certain things where like some people will not, but like people, whether or not you shake hands would like if somebody like when I go around and I do political stuff and people, men reach out their hand, I usually just shake their hand. But like that's a question. Like that's a real question whether or not you can. Like people ask their rabbis and stuff. Well, I saw my rabbi shake somebody's hand, so I'm sure he'd be fine with it. Somebody who was like a non-religious Jew, like came in to ask him questions. One time they like just walked into the shul and
what's a shul?
A synagogue, sorry. We call it a shul.
Oh.
So somebody like just walked in on a day when we were actually there, and she like was like, oh, I was wondering if I'm Jewish and I'm not really observant or anything, and I want to know more about my religion and stuff. And so she introduced herself and she put out her hand, and like so he shook her hand. So but that's like a real like a question as to whether or not you can. This is something that people debate, like, if you go on a job interview or meet people, like we would never shake each other's hand. Like if I go and I meet, like if I start, like when I was campaigning, for example, most of the time I campaigned in different areas because I campaigned for 4 people. There were times where I campaigned in the religious neighborhood. Like no religious guy is ever going to put his hand out to shake my hand. And no religious woman is ever going to put her hand out to shake a guy's hand.
That's so weird to me. Like, that's weird. I don't know. That's weird to me. So are you like a Messianic Jew?
No, I'm actually Jewish. Like I converted. So I was a Christian when I was like in high school.
Yeah, but you know there's like Messianic Jews.
Yeah, those are basically Jews who believe in Jesus.
Right.
So I don't believe in Jesus.
Okay.
So when I compare the two, I guess in a way it's more superficial things that I'm comparing.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
there's
you
still more similarities. I mean, like Orthodox Jews vote 70% like roughly voted for Trump.
so you're so you believe like in circumcision and all that stuff too?
Yes.
So like I have so many questions. So is it like do you believe in the whole of what the Christians would call the Old Testament or just the Torah?
um so yeah, I mean, we believe in all of that, but the other part isn't emphasized as much.
So you just that's just the Torah, pretty much.
So the Torah is read, portions of the Torah are read every single week.
Okay.
So and it's like
It's the same with Christians. Read the Bible,
right,
portions of the
but
Bible every right.
one thing that's different about Jews is there is like they are named portions. They're called parshas. So these portions are named. Everybody reads the same portion. Everybody starts and ends. There's like a holiday when they end and start the Torah. When they do like the last like paragraph or two paragraphs or whatever. They do like the end and beginning on a holiday right around New Year's. It's like right
Oh,
after
so
New Year's.
you read the whole Torah all the way through.
So every week, it's like a page or two every week. And so like if you have kids in Jewish day school, every school is like going to cover like, oh, what's in this week's portion. Like if you have like a learning event, or when they do their like sermons or speeches, all of that, it's going to tie into the portion, unless there's like a holiday, and then they might tie it into the holiday. But usually they tie it into the portion, and the portion is read in Hebrew. But like when I went to beginner service, we used to read the portion in English every week.
Oh, so you know how to speak Hebrew.
I mean, I can read it. I don't know if I really like speak it, but I had to learn how to read
I
it.
can't. I'm monolingual, so. Well, I mean, I know some Spanish, but like I'm only fluent in one language.
Yeah, I mean,
It's English.
I'm not fluent in Hebrew or anything. I can, and like Bible or Torah Hebrew is different than spoken Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
So it's similar. A lot of the words are the same. But like people who live in Israel, they don't point their text, which is like the vowels were added later because everybody just knew the vocabulary. So context clues, people knew what the words were.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Torah isn't pointed. The Torahs themselves are not pointed.
What do you mean
But
pointed?
Vowels, they're like these like dots here and there, like a dot over a letter or next to a letter. You know, we have our own alphabet too.
In Hebrew.
Right.
Yeah, Hebrew is a language, yeah. I would assume that
And
you guys
it's
have
read in the opposite direction as well.
Right. Right.
To left.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean left to right.
No, right.
Right
to left.
Right to left. Right to left.
Yeah.
Exactly. As opposed to left to right.
Mm-hmm. So in Israel, I heard that like they're not allowed to say like Yeshua or like refer to God at all. Is that the same with Jewish people in America?
Yeah, we call him the name in Hebrew.
The name. Because like I know I heard that in the original text of the Torah, it's literally like when they mention God, it's like ...
It's 4 letters and nobody knows exactly how to pronounce it because it's not spoken. So like I said, it's not pointed text, so we don't know what the vowels are. The points are the vowels, which are dots that they put on later to tell you if it's like boo, bo, ba, like all of the vowel sounds are added to the consonants.
So is it like a? So you said you call him the name.
We call God the name.
So like, is it because like you think God is too holy to be mentioning his name or something like that?
Right. I mean, when we do a blessing, we don't say the name then because we're actually using it, but it's still not the actual name. It literally translates as our Lord or my Lord. So it still doesn't translate as like
So then what does like Yeshua mean?
Yeshua or Yoshua is Jesus.
Jesus.
Right. So
Oh.
technically, like, Jesus was basically named Joshua.
I thought it was like I thought his name was Emmanuel or something like that.
Emmanuel means God with us.
Right. That's what he was named according to the book of Isaac, right?
That's what people call him, but his name on earth was actually Joshua.
But just in the Israeli
In Hebrew, yeah.
in Hebrew. Right.
Well, they didn't. What did they speak back then?
Hebrew.
No,
They didn't speak Hebrew back then?
They didn't speak Hebrew. I forget what the.
Oh, because they were taken over by Rome, right?
The language that they spoke. It's the same language that our Kaddish is in. Wait, let me look it up.
Because at that time it was Rome, right? It was part of Rome when Jesus was born.
Notice my high. What?
But
Luciano, are you watching? He sent a message on Discord. Luciano did.
I thought the Torah was
taking questions in the live stream.
I thought the Torah was written in Hebrew.
The Torah is.
Right.
But.
So then why wouldn't they have spoken Hebrew?
Aramaic. I remembered it just as I was pulling it up. Aramaic was the spoken language at the time.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So it's very similar to Hebrew.
But the written language was Hebrew.
Right. So, and then the New Testament, when it was written,
it was in Greek.
Greek and Aramaic.
And Aramaic, yeah.
Because Aramaic was the spoken language at the time. So that's how I know, like, I believe Jesus spoke Aramaic, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I believe Jesus, like, lived. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's, like, undoubtable proof that he lived.
Even Jews believe that.
Right.
We just don't think he was God. We think he was a human.
Right.
That's the main.
So then what do you exactly do? You think he was a prophet or like what exactly?
We believe that he was a rabbi or just like somebody who knew the scriptures, and that his disciples were the ones who turned him into a god after the fact.
So he was a person, but a rabbi, and his disciples pretty much idolized him.
Yeah, well, like a lot of the stuff in the New Testament is also the stuff in our commentaries. Because he was, probably, it seems like he was a learned Jew at the time.
I mean, that would make sense that a lot of the stuff in the New Testament is part of the Old Testament or commentaries, you said.
Right.
That would make sense because everybody was Jewish. There was no Christian back, like they were all.
You were either Jewish or you were like no religion. Like pagans. People were pagans.
Right. No,
and then a lot of those pagan religions don't really exist anymore.
Right. So then what do you... Okay, so then... Okay. I'm trying to think. So what do you think happened to Jesus's body then?
Yeah, I mean, that's... The thing is, like, most Jews don't really focus on that a lot.
I mean, that's kind of a pretty important part to the Bible.
That would be a good question for Tuvia Singer.
I mean, what happened to the body is a pretty extremely important part to the Bible, because
I think the theory would be that people like
stole it.
Yeah, that I think that's what people would say, was that people who wanted to purport the idea of Christianity stole the body. You know, I know that like the stone or the rock or whatever was so big that like a human couldn't have, you know. But then
That's
there's
not true. That's not true.
Oh, the rock's not that big?
No, I mean, yeah, it was huge, but like somebody had to roll it in front of the tomb.
Right, exactly. So
or multiple people.
exactly. So perhaps multiple people worked in cahoots to.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
So I would feel like, did you know that I actually did I had Jefferson Lee on this channel one time.
So you are Jewish by religion, but not by ancestry, right?
So after I converted, I discovered, I was poking around in my genealogy, and I discovered, I was trying to find stuff on my great-grandfather, and I found stuff online that said he was a composer, that Hitler loved his music but hated him for being married to a Jewish woman.
Okay.
So there's three possibilities. One, somehow my great-grandfather was married to two women. Two,
Possible.
there were two men with the same name, which is pretty odd considering that he was a musical composer. So I don't know how many composers with an extremely rare name there was. And then the third possibility that I thought of later on was that perhaps my great-grandfather knew another man with that name, and when he came to the States, because it used to be you'd just come into Ellis Island and they'd be like, "What's your name?" And
I mean, there was
like,
more of a vetting process than that, but
yeah, but when they said, "What was your name?"
you
didn't necessarily have to show papers. I mean, back in the 1800s,
they changed.
the
Yeah,
early
a lot of
1900s.
immigrants changed their name though.
Yeah, exactly. They basically just came in and like my sister's family. My sister's married name is Kay. But her name, the family name that came over from Poland was Koszelniak. And when they got to Ellis Island, they were like, Koszelniak, and trying to spell it. They were like, okay, your name is Kay. So the other possibility I thought of was maybe my great-grandfather like learned under this man and thought he was really great, you know, and just took his name when he came here.
Or so you could be Jewish.
Huh?
Said, or you could be Jewish.
Well, my great-grandfather wasn't Jewish.
Right, but you said he was married to a Jew.
Somebody with his name and the same occupation was married to a Jewish woman.
I mean, all I know is that I'm a mutt of European countries.
So I actually know a little bit more. I'm
Hang on, let me close my door.
Somebody walked in.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so both of my grandmothers were German. And then one grandfather was Irish and the other one was English.
I know that trying to think. Okay, so my great grandparents were both Irish. On my mom's side, were both Irish. And then my I can't remember which one. One of my great grandparents on my dad's side was Scottish, and then the other one was German. And then my grandfather was German. So I made my dad German. And then my grandfather on my mom's side was Italian. So yeah, I'm just a mutt.
So you're
Irish,
German, Italian,
German,
and Scottish?
Italian. No, I'm German, Italian, Irish, and Scottish.
Okay. It sounds like you're more German, though, than the other ones.
Yeah, I'm more German and Italian than any of the other ones.
So mine is pretty easy because I have a quarter of each, but two German quarters. So I'm half German, Irish, and English.
I should take that ancestry test. I need to do that. That
I
would
only
be
know because they had us do our ancestry one year for St. Patrick's Day. We had a little project in school.
Mhm.
Everybody created pins that said "Kiss Me, I'm," and then we did our genealogy on it.
Did you get kissed?
No. I was in like 5th grade.
That's funny. Yeah, so but as far as religion goes, like I said, everybody I know is Christian. Well, I mean, yeah, pretty much everybody I know is
Like
Christian.
Protestant.
Protestant, yeah. And then I'm just like, hey guys, how's it going? You know?
I mean, that's what I would expect, like, from most of Florida. Like,
It's
people
to be
who grow up
Protestant.
in Florida are usually, yeah.
Protestant, yeah. I mean, to my surprise, though,
Unless they're like Hispanic Catholics.
Yeah, even Hispanics are Protestant, though.
That's true.
Well, I mean, the younger Hispanics are Protestant.
Yeah.
The
Catholic Church is spending all this money to bring them here, and then they're converting to Protestant denominations. Right. It's
That's
kind of funny.
That was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, my mom was cool. Most of the church that I go to is cool. You know, they're cool with it, I guess. My mom's like, I'm a praying mother. And I'm just like, okay, mom.
So my mom was Catholic, like at least growing up. But it turns out she may have actually been Jewish and not known it. Or maybe there was one time when I was a kid where
how do you not know your specific religion though? I never got that.
Well, like under Jewish law, if your mom is Jewish, you're considered Jewish. So if my great grandmother through this lineage was actually Jewish, that means that I would be Jewish even though I was raised Catholic. So there was actually an incident where I was in a few different incidences. Like when I went to Catholic camp as a child, they asked me over and over again if I needed to keep kosher, which was weird. I had never met a Jew at that point.
Yeah, kosher is that salt, right? That certain type of salt.
Kosher is like if you keep kosher, it's like Jewish dietary laws. So you can't have ham, pork, whatever.
Yeah, that's how because my mom was Seventh-day Adventist for a long time. So and Seventh-day Adventist, they're Protestant, but they believe like don't eat pork or shellfish or
I think they keep like
basically like the Leviticus 11 type law. Right. You know what I mean?
So like we take it when you're Orthodox Jew, you take it a whole step further. We have separate plates for meat and dairy, separate pots and pans, separate forks and knives, and spoons and everything.
That's strange to me, because like I said, I'm like agnostic. So like basically, I'm just like, do what you want. You know what I mean? Like if you want, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean
that's just me.
It was strange for me when I first encountered it. So when I first encountered it, it was before I was converting, but I was working for somebody who was Orthodox. He had 3 sets of plates. Actually, he had 4 or 5.
So
'Cause I
what
think
you guys separate like what do you mean separate like the
okay, so
meat from like cheese and stuff? Which I mean there's a lot of like atheists who do that too. It's just a well for atheists it's just like a taste factor, you know?
yeah,
It's not
but we have separate plates. So like so my meat dishes are white with black trim.
does it have to be that way?
No. I mean that's just
I
the
don't know.
dishes I have.
I don't know.
So
I'm learning, I guess, about
commonly red is considered a meat color and blue is considered a dairy color.
I mean red makes sense for meat because beef and red that makes sense.
Exactly. Exactly.
Blue, I mean, why blue?
I guess like if you think about like hot and cold, like blue milk, I don't know. Somebody created like these labels like that say meat and dairy and they made the labels with the meat labels were red, the dairy labels were blue. There's a whole line and so like they have different utensils like you can get knives that are like red and say meat on the side. Um like a lot of like slotted spoons and just like accessory type stuff. They'll sell those in their perspective color. So red is like I said, red is for meat, blue is for dairy. Green is for parve, which means it's neither dairy nor meat. And
Mm-hmm.
then the labels for Passover are purple.
Mm.
But usually people keep their Passover stuff completely separate. And
Because Passover is like a week long, right?
yes.
Okay.
So, but I'm gluten free, so
Okay.
um
Is that like a choice that you made? Is that like an individual choice?
I was getting sick and somehow I managed to figure out that it was the gluten making me sick. But that makes it really easy to flip for Passover because normally what people do is like they vacuum up their house to make sure they get like every last crumb. Well, since I don't eat like gluten free is basically the things that you have to get rid of before Passover are basically the stuff that contains gluten, except for oats. Like if I had Cheerios, that would be an issue to make sure I get the Cheerios in my house, but I don't eat Cheerios just for that reason. plus like I don't have kids, so that makes it easier to clean too.
Right. So do you have any questions for me about what I believe? I feel like I'm just interrogating
I
you. Like
know, right? No, people do this all the time to me. The worst is when Jewish people, like if there was one incident where I applied for a job and I did it under my legal name to be a substitute teacher at one of the schools here.
you have two names?
Well, I usually, when I'm dealing with Jews, I usually use my Hebrew name and then I have this like fake last name that I kind of use. And a lot of people like I put it in the last name spot, like it's on the in the last name spot, like on my email and stuff, and people just kind of assume. But when I'm officially applying for a job,
Mm-hmm.
I had to like use my legal name and I submitted my resume.
So that like NRR, N was it NRR?
Oops,
Freak.
sorry. Can we not do that? That was in private. Sorry.
Jesus.
Please don't dox me.
Freak. Ow.
Sorry. Yeah, but
Ow.
please don't dox my personal information.
Ow.
Sorry. I wanted to stop you from
Okay, we can talk about it later.
yeah. So
Ow.
yeah, sorry. That's kind
I'm
of
starting to learn your personality a little bit more. Ow.
I'm so sorry. I was like, no, 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 no.
Okay, we can talk about it later.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So my
Anyway,
yeah, so my
you
legal
freaking
last name,
scared me.
my legal last name is just like very obvious that it's not Jewish. So
I mean, yeah, you said you're German, right?
my legal last name is Irish.
Okay.
So we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So people
Ow.
so
Hang on a second. Oh God.
yeah, it's kind of like
Oh.
I was thinking like, oh, I don't have to tell him not to like dox any of my personal information because
I mean,
you didn't have any, but the one bit of personal information that you have.
I don't know. To me, I don't see that as personal, but okay.
Kind of is.
It's just okay. Okay.
Anyway.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah. So so one time I applied for a job under my legal name because I applied to be a substitute teacher to one of the local Jewish schools. And I have a degree, but it's not in teaching. But I also have like a lot of experience because I majored in education at first and then switched my major. So I did all these like volunteer projects to gain teaching experience when I was planning on being a teacher. So I applied for this job thinking like all of that experience plus all the babysitting I've done and stuff, figuring like all of that should be good enough to apply. And if it isn't, normal people, they wouldn't interview you. So what the guy does is he brings me in for an interview, freezing cold day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Buffalo?
No, it was here in New York City, but
okay.
Freezing. It's freezing that day. And I go in and I interview with the guy, and all he does is like ask me like why I converted and give me like the third degree, wanting to know like all my background information about why I converted. And then at the end of the interview, he says, "Oh yeah, I wasn't planning on hiring you. You don't have a degree in education." Basically he says this like as I'm leaving, and I'm just kind of like, I was not happy to say the least. Okay, I was pissed.
That's funny.
And what he did is actually considered against Jewish law. You're not supposed to waste people's time.
What? Oh, what is this? What are these laws?
Well, by Jewish laws, our rules. So it's considered like for somebody to go in to a store and never intend to buy something and to just ask the salespeople to explain it to you when you intend to buy it online, that's actually considered wrong according to like the Jewish rules. Because it's wasting someone's time.
That's strange.
Well, it isn't. I mean, from a polite perspective, it's still not nice. It's certainly not nice what he did. You're also not supposed to embarrass people.
Like I get it's not polite, but like as a law, I'm just.
Well, I mean, we call it Jewish law. Essentially, it's like our rules.
It's just strange. I don't know. That's weird to me. Anyways.
So you're an atheist, right?
Agnostic / atheist. Like both. Like
basically you don't know and you don't care enough to decide what you believe. Like maybe there's a God, maybe there's not.
Yeah, I definitely, well, not definitely.
And maybe there's not.
There could be a higher power. Maybe. But I also don't see like any like evidence for it, I guess. So my thoughts on God is like I believe God is all like in the mind. Like I believe God is something that people came up with to hold themselves accountable, which is a good thing. which is a great thing. Like, I'm not saying like the idea of God is bad. I just think God is in the mind, you know?
Okay.
Like, I just think that it's a great thing to have something to answer to. I just don't think the thing that we answer to is God. I think the thing that we answer to is
Cells.
ourselves. But since generally people have good morals and they have that kind of like they have to answer to God, you know, answering to God gives them good morals, which is a great thing, you know.
Okay.
But I believe that God is like in the mind. But it's a good thing though, because it keeps us accountable to ourselves and each other. You seem
All
like
right.
you seem so like taken back.
No, no, I was what's his name? Luciano. I don't
Oh,
I don't know what he's using. Oh, no, you actually okay.
is he in the chat? Oh,
Um I think he's in the chat somewhere.
somewhere.
Oh, he is Luciano Casanova. I'll be right back. Promise. Later. Fist, 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 fist. So he had asked in on Discord if we were taking questions. So I just told him on Discord to tag me in the chat and ask whatever.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't know if he.
Well, you know, I find that Protestants are a lot more, and I don't know about Jewish because I don't. There's not a lot of Jews that live in the area that I live in, but
Right.
there's a lot of Protestants.
Right.
But I find that Protestants are very accepting of other people's views on God. You know what I mean? Like they might not agree, but they definitely aren't like for me like there are people in the church that I go to that know that I'm not Christian. You know, but they don't like hate me. You know what I mean?
I would say Orthodox Jews are
I
pretty
don't know because I
accepting.
don't. There's no Jews that. Well, I mean, I'm sure there is, but like
Right.
I.
And there's also,
Yeah.
like I said, Orthodox Jews are probably more different from Reform Jews than like Catholics and Protestants. Reform Jews are super different from Orthodox Jews. So Orthodox
They're
Jews,
like SJW ones, right?
yeah. So like Reform Jews are generally those are the ones that are going to have a hissy fit, you know, and try to like take down all your you know, manger scenes at Christmas time.
Orthodox Jews are the ones to do that.
No, Reform
Oh,
Jews.
Reform Jews. Oh, yeah. I
Orthodox
don't.
Jews are more religious, but like we're more tolerant. Our biggest
Okay.
concern is as long as you're not trying to like steal our children into your religion, like we don't care, you know, or tell us
Okay.
how to live.
Yeah, it's this. It's the same for me. Like, I'm cool. Like, if you have like a nativity scene or whatever in your for Christmas, cool. Like, I still say Merry Christmas because Merry Christmas is just a traditional term, you know.
Right.
And you know, I, I like more traditional stuff than I do with this rapid change of ideas. So
And especially now with the whole like as the whole SJW thing is pushing, you're seeing more and more. You're seeing Orthodox Jews be like, Merry Christmas. It may not be my holiday, but like they want to like push against the left. Like Orthodox
okay,
Jews do not like political leftyism. I mean, there's a handful of like there's some younger, especially like female millennials, you know, they start reading like BuzzFeed and stuff like that and they get
ew.
caught up in it.
I don't. That's I never read BuzzFeed. Like I might like their YouTube channel. I might watch some of their YouTube videos, but like nothing political. It'll literally be like, oh, Irish people try American candy, you know, something like that.
Right, exactly. Well, that's how they pull people in. So, I mean, one thing I recently noticed, because I have cable. Like, I have my internet is through the cable company, but they recently gave me a package where, like, actual television cable,
Hmm.
about 100 channels came with it. I mean, half of them are like public access type channels, but I was flipping through the other day, and some of the things that I found on these public access channels were like the Young Turks, Democracy Now. And I
What's
was chuckling and I was like, no wonders why this city is so freaking leftist. This is what's been on our cable this whole time that I haven't had cable. This is what our cable companies are putting out. Like this crap.
I mean, to me, I don't know about New York City, but in my area, there's not really, especially among people like my age, we just don't watch cable anymore. Like the only thing I watch cable for is like The Flash, because it's not on really
Well,
Netflix.
yeah, I think younger people probably don't watch it as much. And I would have never had cable if it wasn't for the fact that they included it. Like I've gotten it twice before, and both times I've canceled it right after.
Mhm.
So the only reason why I've been watching a little bit more TV is just because, like, I have it, you know?
I usually just I usually just am on YouTube.
Right. I mean, I'm mostly on YouTube, but I mean, I guess, like, when I want a break from political stuff. So, like, I've watched some sitcoms and stuff now that I have it. Like, reruns from True Broke Girls and reruns of King of Queens, all of which I could probably find online somewhere. But, like,
Right.
like getting ready to go somewhere or whatever, I'm brushing my hair or whatever, I maybe put that on instead of a YouTube video. So,
Yeah.
like somebody pointed out to me recently, like the political stuff, it can get to be like you need a break from it sometimes because it can get to be like it's really heavy.
The political
Felix
stuff on
says
YouTube.
100%. I made it. Oh, it's Nanya. TV is cable.
Yeah, because somebody back there was saying, "What is cable?" And I'm not sure if he was being
Oh,
serious
I
or
think I think he was being funny.
oh, because I'm a very I'm very oblivious to sarcasm. So like when somebody asks a question or like makes a statement over text, I take it as like a literal thing, you know?
Yeah. No, I think he meant it like cable. What is cable? I do not know what this cable is.
Yeah. You see, when somebody's like verbally talking, I can pick up sarcasm. But like when it's
Right.
over text, because there's no voice behind text. So it's like, I can't tell if they're being sarcastic or
Yeah.
not.
I think he was being sarcastic. Hey Ryu, were you being sarcastic? Ryu. Oh Ryu.
Right. Is he a regular on this channel?
Yeah. He used to be a mod. Yes, I am joking. And he's a mod on I guess it's sort of like a sister channel, but Halsey, which is the channel that just went live. That like he semi invited me, but then he said you can't come too because you're underage. So
Yeah, well, you know what? I can't curse on YouTube, so let's not do that. But
I
that's
mean,
okay. That's
I
okay.
yeah, I've been trying. Like I get comments, like people get mad when I curse. I don't curse very often, but I occasionally do drop it.
When I'm off, like Zelix can attest to this. When I'm off YouTube, bro, I'm like everything comes out, bro. I don't care.
Yeah.
Ashley and Zelix can both, uh, attest to that.
So Morty is off, and he has enjoyed.
Yeah, the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Anyways, but back to like the whole religion thing, because that's actually a really interesting subject because it's very
Oh,
controversial.
what is the Matrix just got here? What is the Matrix? You know, you missed it. We were talking about Candox earlier.
What is that?
Candace.
Oh, a little bit, not too much though.
Right.
I mean, we could go back to that because that's a very interesting subject. But
Well, what is the Matrix? Is basically that's how I found what is the Matrix. I found him, he found me. You're a guy, right? I think he's a guy. I think he told me he's a guy. So he and I found each other because we both had similar opinions regarding her. So what is the Matrix? You'll find this interesting. A right conservative here. Um he actually recently found out about the Twitter war and he did a video about the Twitter war that Tommy Lahren, you mispronounced your last name by the way, it's Lahren, not Lauren, but Tommy Lahren and Candox had. So they had a Twitter war a couple weeks ago. And I mentioned it in my video about TPUSA and the First Step Act because it was important because the Twitter war started over the First Step Act. And then RC here did a video about the Twitter war. Is Tria dominatrix? Yes, this is old news. What? Stop. All right. Oh, the Discord is beeping again. Oh. Oh, okay. So RC has to, I think, refresh. Refresh. Google. Hang on, he's frozen. So let's just so he recently did a video. There, he's back.
That hurt my ears.
Sorry.
No, my headphones are too loud.
Oh.
Yeah, my computer just like committed suicide.
I was like, oh, why do people keep putting stuff on Discord? Why is Discord going off again? Because I have like 3 versions of Chrome open. So I have 2 of them side by side, and one of them is our Google Hangout, and the other one is the chat popped out. So then every time I go to Discord, I have to like go under it, and then I have to like re-put the 2 on top. So.
Oh, I feel so fat, even though I'm not. I'm such a freaking gym freak. Like I ate because like I'm trying to gain weight. So like
Protein.
That's what I'm doing.
I assume you're trying to gain muscle.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you Chobanis?
What?
Chobanis.
No idea what that is.
A Greek yogurt, Chobanis?
Oh, those things? No. No. It's straight chicken, beef, eggs, the real man stuff, not this yogurt. Oh, and a vegan protein powder.
Well, Chobanis is good too. Like when I used to work out, because I wouldn't have time to necessarily, after I would finish the gym, I wouldn't have time to like, you want to get protein right away. So I'd either get a protein shake at the gym or there was a drugstore right next door. So I'd go next door and I would buy like a Chobani or whatever.
What I do is, because I have a neighborhood gym, so I ride my. It's like
what John. Do you see what John Smith just said in the chat? I don't like that. I'm gonna have to switch brands. There's some Jewish brands. Thanks for the tip, John Smith. I'll have to switch to the Jewish brands. I
I
had
could
heard that they worked there, but I didn't know that they owned it too. So I
I
believe that.
I could care less as long as I'm not being poisoned.
Mm. I wouldn't be so sure.
Um, no, what I do is I have I have a neighborhood gym and it's like a half mile from my house, so I just ride my bike there. Or I could ride my bike to the other gym because basically how my neighborhood is set up is there's like four quadrants. So there's like the commons, the hills, the trails, and then the gardens, which is where all the old people live. And so there is a gym in the trails, which is where I live, and the commons, which is the other gym. So I just ride my bike to one of the two. But well, it's not really a problem, but
Well, the problem with that, the gym I used to go to was like 3 miles from where I lived.
you could bike there.
There was nowhere to lock up my bike. I looked around.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you have to be careful because you can't lock a bike to city property. So like there was a subway station
What?
there, but you can't lock a bike up to like
Why?
the railings around the subway station because that's city
Why?
property.
That's stupid.
And if you try to like lock it around like a sign, people will just pick the bike up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, they take the sign out of the ground.
Or they'll get like two people and just pick the bike up over the sign and like pull the
Yeah.
chain off and then take it home and
Mm-hmm.
then like clip the lock when they get home.
See,
So
I live in a very like low crime rate area, so I
yeah,
just like leave my bike like outside of the gym.
right.
Like I know nobody's gonna take it because it's
Like
like
I used to ride my bike um to people's houses and I would lock it like outside their houses and some some uh some people would be like, "Oh, well, is that enough?" I mean, in a low crime area, like to lock it outside somebody's house, that's fine. I see people's kids leave their toys out and don't get stolen, which is
hmm
more than I can say for where I grew up. Where I grew up, my mother used to tell us, "Do not leave your toys out; they will steal them."
hmm I mean, anyways, but yeah, the gym. What was that? Oh, what I usually do is I just go ride my bike to the gym, and then I come back and I eat and eat and eat. Like last night, I had you know what a pot pie is, right?
Like the chicken place?
No, like it's like how can I
Like
explain?
Popeye the Sailor Man with
No, no,
spinach?
no. No, it's like it's a pot pie.
Oh, pot pie. I thought you said Popeye.
Yeah, pot pie.
Oh, okay, yeah, I used to eat those.
Yeah, so last night I literally like I ate one of those and then I had like a bag of cookies and then I had like a bunch of fried chicken. Like I was so hungry last night. Cuz like I said I'm trying to like gain weight, but I was just really hungry. And then today I went to the gym. I didn't even go for that long. I went for like 30 minutes. And then I came back and I just had like this big plate of steak with like some ravioli and it was really good because I love steak.
I like steak.
um but yeah, the whole Candace thing was ridiculous.
Yeah. So what is the Matrix? So did you see the whole Twitter war that Tree did a really good video on it? There were actually some leftists who did videos on it. I think there was one more tweet that got deleted that Tree didn't catch, but that one of the leftists caught. But yeah.
The Violent Vegetarian, that's a YouTuber.
No, is the guest the violent one? The guest here is right conservative. He just
Bro, I'm not a I'm anything but a vegetarian, bro. Like I said, I just had like a huge plate of steak.
And the one who had the hot pocket was if anybody knew, is Gabriel Samurai. It's a really small channel with I think 300 subs. He also does more drama, but he did
Oh,
do
dang, that's small. What am I? I'm
well,
small.
yeah.
I must be like really small.
Yeah, but his channel is like a year and a half old and it's still that small.
Oh.
So
I don't have any social media, so I think I'm doing pretty good for just going only YouTube.
no, your content is really good.
Is it really?
I think so.
Hmm.
What? Because here's the thing: is a lot of people all they do, they put no visuals on the screen. They just listen to the news and then they go in front of the camera and they go, "I just heard this is on the news. This is what I think about it." And it's like, how is that unique? That's literally what everybody does. But people sub to these people just because they agree with them.
I mean,
You know,
what happens.
like at least you have unique stuff like the video you did where you covered the two you said you got it from this homeschool kid from the Republican Club, his dad.
Oh yeah,
The two commie
yeah,
constitutions.
yeah. I mean, it was only one. I really only went over one, and it actually wasn't even supposed to be about that, but I just decided to read the document because I thought it was interesting. But it sucked.
And also, you were talking about the con. Here's the thing: I can't even tell you how many people who are in comments or making, going to Trump rallies or in comments on these videos or even making videos of their own. And you start talking to these people, they don't know the difference between a U.S. senator and a state senator. They don't know anything.
Wait.
They don't know what a con
I'm trying to wait a minute. Okay, because a U.S. senator represents the state, and then what does a state senator do?
Well, it depends on the state. So how in the federal legislature you have senators and you have Congress people. So senators
representatives, right?
And the Congress people represent like a chunk of people.
Right.
So in the state legislatures, you have the same thing. So you have state senators. They don't they represent
the county.
Yeah, that would make sense, but no, it's just a bigger area. It's just a bigger
districts.
Like a state senate district is bigger than an assembly district. So in New York, we have assemblers and state senators. Every state is slightly different because I have a follower who ran for something in Georgia, but it was called something else. I'll tell you in a second. Let me pull him up.
What was the other thing that you mentioned? The senators, and then there was something else.
We have assemblers, which is like the state version of.
No, you said something else that started with like a C. You're like, oh, these people don't even know the difference between they don't even know what a something is, and I don't know. I don't remember.
The con.
Yeah, what is that?
The con is what you did a video on, which is the convention.
Oh, why do you keep calling it con? Like, call it a convention. That's I don't know.
It stands for Constitutional Convention, so they shorten it to con.
Yeah, that's
con.
I just call it a convention. That's what it is.
Right. The convention of the states or the Constitutional Convention. So sort of a shorthand version of it is the con.
Yeah, it's never been done before, apparently. A convention?
Yeah, it's never been done before. Exactly. It's true.
So I wonder what would happen if it did happen.
I don't know, but I hope it doesn't.
Well, because so basically, from what I heard, it's basically like the states, 2/3 of the states give Congress permission to elect delegates, and then these delegates can basically do whatever they want.
Pretty much. much. It's very scary.
So Congress is the one who elects the delegates, not the states.
I'm not sure. All I know is when I read it through, I was like, no, I don't want this.
Okay. Let me go back to Article 5.
Oh, he ran for the Georgia State House. So that's like what we call an assembler. Ooh, I got a new follower.
Yeah, it was me.
I don't think so. John Locke Reagan.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not me. I did subscribe to you, though.
On Twitter?
Oh, no. On YouTube. Did I? Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm in Twitter right now. Oh,
No.
I invited somebody to our stream and they said, thanks for the invite, not tonight. Love to stream sometime this week. Oh, so maybe we'll stream with this guy. Trying to get like a handful of people that like I can stream with sometimes, and because I think I think the streams are the best with like 3 to 5 people.
Yeah, because you can have like more people talk, and you can just kind of sit back and.
If somebody needs to go to the bathroom or somebody's screen freezes, like you have.
Or somebody screams in your ear.
Yeah, sorry. But like both of us have like had the other one carry the stream to like go to the bathroom. So like you have 2 people, you can just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna dip out.
That's funny.
Don't we need to address the fraud at the voting polls, or else we might need to die a zombie apocalypse?
Man, yes, are you talking
absolutely, about? Because it's always Broward County.
It's always Broward County. It's funny because Broward County is literally the only county that did not count all the votes. Because, okay, so how Florida how Florida usually votes is basically almost every county in Florida votes red. And then almost every county
goes looking for extra ballots under the couch cushions and in the trunks of people's.
No, literally, they had ballots in the trunks of people's cars, though. You know that, right?
No!
It's funny. No, but so how Florida usually votes is that literally every county is like red, except for Leon, which is Tallahassee, Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade, and sometimes Monroe County votes blue.
Well, even New York State, everybody thinks of New York as this like blue state. The only counties that go blue are the ones where cities are. And even New York City, one county in New York City goes red, which is Staten Island. Unfortunately, this last election, we lost. We had one congressperson who was a Republican. We lost him. We lost a few Republicans. We lost 2 Republicans upstate too. So we lost a total of 3 in New York State, which is really bad. But like I tell you, like a lot of people just wouldn't get off their, you talk to Republicans and they're just like, nah, like they complain about how the state is being pulled to the left. And then you're like, oh, okay, so why don't you, step in and do this, do that, talk to some people, call your friends, text some people, remind them to vote. And they're just, I don't want it. Like, if every single person did that, we could actually shift things. There's a lot of actually conservative people in New York City.
Oh, yeah, I know.
They're not active.
Very true. But so anyways, like I was saying, Florida, basically almost every county in Florida goes red. And then there's Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade, which is like on the southeast coast.
Right.
And they're like the main counties that go blue. And then there's Leon County and Tallahassee. But it's funny because Miami-Dade and Palm Beach both counted their votes. And Leon County did too. Both counted the votes, done. And then there's Broward County. And Broward County, you know why though? It's because Broward County's supervisor for all the precincts It's Brenda Snipes.
Right, Cheeteljuice. They nicknamed her Cheeteljuice because she looks like Beetlejuice, and she's a total cheater. So people started calling her Cheeteljuice, which I thought was awesome. So I was like, also, hashtag Cheeteljuice. Let's make it go viral.
That's funny. But yeah, Brenda Snipes. And she actually, I guess, was appointed to that position by Jeb Bush. From what I heard. She wasn't really like elected to be in that position. But
and she was the reason why not Papa Bush, Baby Bush almost lost that state. So that's effed up.
Yeah. Which is funny because, like, aren't the Bushes part of that whole globalist agenda thing too?
Yeah, they're neocons. They're total neocons.
So then, like, Brenda Snipes, what are you doing?
And tried to hide it.
So then it's like, Brenda Snipes, what is you doing? You, like, I don't know. Yeah, Brenda Snipes, she needs to go. If she hasn't already gone, she needs to go.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know if they got rid of her from this, but a lot of people were saying she needs to go. But
the election in Florida was so close. Were you following it?
Who wasn't? Everybody
scared. I was scared. No, because literally what happened is they had to do a manual they had to do a manual recount for senator. Because what happens is so if the original count is under 0.5%, it's Florida state law that they have to do a machine recount. So they did the machine recount, and the machine recount came to under a 0.25%, which by Florida state law, if it comes to under a 0.25% or in the machine recount, then they have to do a manual recount. Right. So they had to do a manual recount. And I was like, I was scared though. I was scared.
There was some like right-wing YouTubers who like made some comedy skit about somebody like finding like ballots underneath their couch cushions. I think that's where that came from.
That's funny.
Like somebody's sitting on the couch. What's this? And then they reach down. They're like, "Oh, look, it's a ballot. Look, it's another ballot." Look, it's already filled out Democrat. What is the Matrix saying, Allie?
He also said the Bible says the devil's a liar. My mom always quotes that scripture.
I can think of a way that is relevant to contemporary politics, but I'll tell you on Discord because I don't want my channel taken down.
I mean, I don't even believe in the devil, so.
I do.
I mean, I know it's part of the. So okay, so another thing I was gonna ask you, but I forgot. Sorry, but so because I know in the Bible, in the Torah, it says like there will be like a Messiah, so like.
We believe it didn't come yet.
No, yeah, right. So like, what are the signs of a Messiah coming? Like, what do you think the signs are?
I don't really even know. We don't really talk about that much. It's
really,
yeah.
Because I know the church
Chabad do because they think that one of their Rebbes was the Mashiach, but Jews don't really.
Really, wouldn't that be like a focus topic in Judaism though? I mean, I would think that would be a focus topic.
One of the hottest topics in Judaism is not gossiping. Keeping Shabbos, keeping kosher.
I would think
not gossiping. Like those are the big ones. And then like also they're always like, women, you need to wear a skirt. you can't wear pants. Pants is very evil. Like literally when they go to like women's like speeches, it's always the same thing. It's just like every other like sentence is women, you need to wear skirts, you can't wear pants.
I find that
They make
so.
a huge deal out of it.
I find that
Which
so
some
backward.
versions of Orthodox Judaism, women do wear pants, but yeah, pants are evil.
I find that to be so backwards because, like, I would think that a very focused, important topic would be the coming of the Messiah. Because I know in Judaism, it was like, you know, God said, like, pretty much for the most part, there would be a coming of Messiah. And then I know that the signs and the outline of the Messiah is in.
Those are the parts of the Old Testament that Christians focus on. That's one of the huge differences between the religions.
Yeah, but I would think that would be a huge thing to focus on because it's like,
no,
I don't know.
we don't talk about it.
I find that so backwards though. Because like I would think that like God said there will be a coming of Messiah, you know? And then literally I know in the book of Isaiah it literally like outlines what the Messiah is supposed to look like, which according to the New Testament does kind of have similarities, you know, with the whole the cross and the whatnot. It's like a parallel, you know. That's just me. Like honestly, I don't care, but I see parallels between Isaiah and then the New Testament, you know.
Well, I mean, those Christianity teaches those parallels. We don't think that those parallels work.
So then what? So okay, so because in the book of Isaiah it does have like a what the Messiah will look like. So if you don't believe that the Messiah has come yet, what do you think that is? What do you think is supposed to happen? What? Not okay. Well, since I'm asking you the question, what do you think that the it will look like, or what do you think like, or will be the circumstances or whatever?
I don't really. I'm not particularly invested in that.
Mm.
I mean, you know, and I'm not really that religious. Like I'm in a religious community, but
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not consumed by religion.
So then,
Politics is kind of my religion. Don't tell my rabbi. I think he knows.
so then, what do Jewish people believe then, or Orthodox Jews or whatever believe
I
that?
mean, we don't really talk about it. We don't really talk about the Messiah.
I find that so backwards. Like, I would think that like, yeah, I would think like, yeah, like what the Torah says like about gossip and whatnot. Yeah, that's important. But like, this is like the most important. You know what I mean? Like, I would think that the law is important in Judaism. I get that. Like, definitely keep those if you believe that. But like, when it says, what did it say in Genesis that like he'll step on your head and you'll bruise his heel or whatever. That should be the prophesying of the Messiah. Like that should be like top priority. You know what I mean? Because it's like God Himself said there will be somebody who will come and save the world. You know, and that it should be. I just think that should be like talked about a lot more than how you're making it seem like it's talked about. That's just me though. Like that's just what I think. Now, like I said, I don't really, but I'm just kind of, what's the word? I don't even know what the word for what I'm doing is. I don't want to say like tearing apart an argument, but like I'm kind of trying to understand why it's not talked about so much. you know?
I mean, it's some things where I think it's just like you just don't wrap your head around it because it's so different. Like going back to the very start of our conversation, we talked about how different communism as practice is, that it's almost hard at first to like wrap your mind around the idea that like there would literally be no private business. Like literally no business. Like literally the government would own the toilet paper company. You know,
Right.
like same thing. You know, Judaism and Christianity are so different in that respect that like whereas the idea of a Messiah is central to the Christian religion because they believe that Jesus, who was a human, was also God and also the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure. I don't think we even believe the Messiah is supposed to be God. I think we think he's just supposed to be a messenger.
A messenger. Like Gabriel?
Maybe?
Or what's
Gabriel was an angel, no?
No, yeah, but he was also a messenger.
Right.
See, okay, because like I said,
like a
I've
prophet.
been, like I said,
I think we believe it's supposed to be like a prophet or something.
like I said, I've been raised Christian, so like I know like all the Christian arguments against that. You know what I mean?
So
like what Christians would say is like, well, the only thing that can save humans is God. You know what I mean?
right.
So how can a human save other humans if man is sinful?
Yes. Well, I don't think our focus on a Messiah is for this person to save us.
So then what's the Messiah for?
I think like a messenger to bring a message of God.
What message?
To be like a representative of him without actually being him.
So then in that case, any prophet could have been the Messiah.
I mean, I think there's more to it, but I don't really.
I mean,
like,
Elijah could have been, or
it's not like a central focus to our religion.
and I just find that backwards. I don't know. That's just I don't find that to be correct.
Well, because the religion that you don't practice but are immersed in, that's how their religion operates. Like people were weirded out when I converted to Judaism, and they're not particularly, you kind of have to push your way in when you convert. And people would be like, how come they're not welcoming? How come they're not welcoming? But when it's a religion, you're supposed to be welcoming. Well, no, that's the rules for Christianity. That's not the rules for necessarily other religions.
Mm-hmm.
But
and I find that to be backwards too, because if you're wanting people to convert to your religion, why wouldn't you be accepting?
who said we want people to convert to our religion?
So Orthodox Jews don't want people to be Jewish.
No, that's not a central tenet of our faith at all.
So
it's illegal to proselytize in Israel. It's even illegal for Jews to try to proselytize to other Jews, like to try to get them in New York City. Some Jews will go out to neighborhoods where non-religious Jews live, and they'll be like, "Are you Jewish?" And they'll try to get them to do Jewish stuff. Like, they'll try to give women candles to light for Shabbos, or like before a holiday.
Okay, so if you don't want, because in Christianity, it's like you want people to be Christians so that way they can be saved and go to heaven and whatnot.
Right.
So if you don't want people to convert to Judaism, the Jews are good. What happens to the people who aren't Jews?
Well, they have the Noahide laws, so And they believe that Christianity, I mean, most people, I think, believe that Christianity falls under the no-hide laws.
What is that?
It's like there's 7 laws, and it's like one of them is don't eat flesh off of a living being. Like, you're not allowed to like tear the limb off an animal while it's still alive and then like have that to eat. Let's see. I think the other ones are like let's see, no hide laws. No.
So, but my question is like, what happens to the Gentiles if they're not Jewish? Like Jews are good. Jews go wherever you believe Jews go, and they're good, basically. But
We
like,
don't
what
believe
happens?
in hell. Also,
Don't believe in hell.
we don't.
Okay. So then, where did Satan go, or where did Lucifer go? If
I don't think we really believe in Lucifer.
really,
I don't know, which is it's Old Testament, so
that's
but
I find that.
I've never heard anybody Jewish mention it.
Okay.
No blasphemy, no idolatry, no sexual immorality, no bloodshed, no robbery, no tearing a limb off a living animal.
Okay, so if you don't believe in Lucifer at all. Like Lucifer never existed. Like not even like the angel Lucifer.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's actually a different version. The normal version is don't worship idols, don't curse God, establish courts of justice, don't commit murder, don't commit adultery or sexual immoralities, don't steal, and don't eat flesh torn off a living animal.
Anyways,
you can tear the flesh off the living animal as long as you don't eat it.
So back to the whole devil thing, though. You guys don't believe in hell or the devil or anything like that, right? Is that what you said?
Right.
So then, are you saying that everybody goes to heaven?
Well, the belief is essentially that everybody goes to some version of heaven, but the closer you are to Hashem is like the equivalent of if you go to heaven or not. So people want to be closer to God when they pass. So the idea is the better you are on earth, the closer you'll be.
So it doesn't even matter if you believe in God or not.
Well, no, it matters. But
okay, so
there is a certain like sterile, cold, distance type feel to the religion compared to Christianity.
Okay, so in Christianity, if you don't believe in Jesus, you go to hell. If you believe in Jesus, you go to heaven, right? It's basically how it works.
Right.
So in Judaism, if you don't believe in God, you don't go to heaven, right?
No, everybody goes to heaven.
Everybody goes to heaven. Okay.
I don't know if we'd even call it heaven, but like the afterlife.
Okay, the afterlife. So
and
even
the
if you
better you are, the closer you stand to God.
Sign me up for that religion. No, like if you're not close to God at all, there's no eternal like suffering, or there's no like nothing.
Well, yes and no, because you're going to be in agony by being so far from God.
That kind of that's so weird to me, and it sounds very like, honestly, it sounds very like against the Old Testament, to be quite honest. Because like in the Old Testament, they reference hell so many times, or a version of hell, and also even in the Torah, there's references to a devil. You know what I mean?
Well, that is the Yetzer Hara, which is essentially like your own evil forces within yourself that tries to trip you up.
So you're saying like the devil never possessed a snake and stuff like that?
It's supposed, I mean, if you ask a rabbi, I believe they would say that it's all like what do you call it?
Symbolism.
Yeah, exactly.
So then well, if we go based off of Genesis, then what compelled Eve to eat the fruit?
Her own evil nature.
But before she ate the fruit, there was no evil nature on earth.
Yeah, very good question.
Because the whole idea is that once she ate the fruit, that's when sin and evil and whatever entered the world. So if her evil nature compelled her,
I'm not sure if our translations would also, I'll have to reread the English translations to the Jewish versions because we may have slightly different translations. Sometimes
but we both, what in Judaism and Christianity, they both believe that Eve ate the fruit, right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so, and we both
But I
believe
know
that,
that there is some stuff that I've gone back and looked at, and I've looked at it with like the Hebrew and our translation, and I'm like, yeah, this is different from how Christianity taught it. So
it
there
is
is
very different. So
um like the literal translation to when people say waters, the word actually breaks down to that water. Heaven translates into literally that water in Hebrew, as in the waters above. That water is how it literally translates to. Shamayim. The sha is like the word ashar or asher, which means that. And they do this sometimes, like they break it off into just sha. And then mayim means water. So it literally translates into that water.
okay.
And that's what people normally translate into heavens.
Okay, going back.
Heaven or heavens.
Well, they do say that before the flood, there was a canvas of water vapor over the earth, or what's it called, a canopy. But I don't know. But anyways, going back to the whole like devil thing, right? So you said like Eve's evil nature compelled her to eat the fruit,
Right.
but how Christians teach it is that God, because in Judaism and Christianity both believe that God created Adam, God created Eve, right?
Right.
So basically how Christians teach it is God is perfect. God is perfectly good, right?
Right.
So how can God create something evil or with an evil a evil just evil, you know? So basically how they say is like, well, God didn't create Adam and Eve to be bad or evil, but he did create them with free will. So basically it was like you don't have any evil inside of you, but you also have the free will to do what you want. And so then basically they say that's when Satan kind of went into the world, or not like sinned it into the world, but Satan kind of like possessed the snake or whatever. And then uh what's the word? Convinced Eve to eat the fruit. And because Eve had the free will to do whatever she wanted, she ate the fruit. You know, and then that's when everything went bad. So that's basically how they teach it.
Right.
And so so in Judaism, if there's no devil, and then if they believe that Eve's evil intentions or evil side of her compelled her to eat the fruit, but then it's like God doesn't create anything with evil, and I'm not understanding, you know. Just like so then, you know, they'd probably be like, oh, well, then where'd the devil come from? And then how they teach it is like God created everything, right? So he created all the angels and everything. And basically, there was an angel named Lucifer, and God gives, you know, everything free will to do whatever. So he gave all the angels free will. Well, then Lucifer decided to use his free will for evil. So then that's, yeah. That's basically how they teach it. I'm just like, maybe, maybe not, you know, agnostic. But if we're going to go into like religious teachings, that's basically how I was explained, you know,
Right.
how it was explained to me. So I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to understand, like, Jewish people, like where the Jewish, you know. I'm just trying to understand because I just think from the way you're explaining it, Judaism is very backwards to me. Because like,
yeah, and we would look at your religion as backwards. We're like, God became a human? What?
Well, I could explain it.
We think that's weird. God became a human. God is all powerful, but he became a human.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah. And you're like, and we're like, huh?
Yeah, it's because well, I could explain it. It's basically because like, so basically how it's taught is, the only thing that can save humanity from hell is God. And then remember how like in the Old Testament, in order to what's the word? Forgive your sins, you had to kill an animal, right?
Right. Sacrifices.
Right. So basically how it's taught, and that's why in Christianity they call Jesus the lamb, or the perfect lamb, or whatever. So basically how it's taught is that God had to sacrifice something to cover the whole entire world's sin.
You mean John 3:16?
Not exactly.
No, are you sure?
I mean, yes, but that verse doesn't explain the entirety of it, though. Basically, God had to sacrifice something to cover the entirety of the world's sins. So what he did was like, okay, well, I can't just kill a person and be like, you know, that's not going to do it because people are sinful and so are animals too. But it's just animals are sinful, but they're just like innocent.
Right.
So basically he was like, well, I got to do it because I'm the only perfect thing ever. So I got to do it. So basically what he did is he took all of that divine power or whatever that he had, and then literally went into the world as a baby. And then later in life, you know, he died. And since he had never sinned before, he was perfect. Also,
by the way, Nanya says, I bet he doesn't know John 3:16. No, I think he does because he was raised Christian.
It's for God so loved the world that he gave his only son.
Begotten. You forgot that word, begotten.
There's different translations.
Oh, yeah. Which translation is begotten?
It sounds like King James, but maybe. I'm not sure. Or New King James, I'm not sure.
No, I only ever knew NIV and King James. My Baptist
there's so many.
My Baptist church used to love King James. And then another church I used to go to loved NIV. The other translations weren't popular. Like everybody either went by one of those two were like the only two really like popular translations.
The pastor
like, when I was a Christian, you'd go into like, if you went into like a Christian bookstore, almost every Bible was one of those two. It was mostly NIV, and then Like,
if I ever were to read the Bible, my favorite translation of the Bible is the Message version, even though I don't read the Bible. But my pastor uses like every version, NIV, King James sometimes, the Message version. There's so many translations. It's crazy. But I don't know. Like I said, I was taught Christian, So I know like it's like drilled into my head. You know what I mean?
I've never heard of the Message.
The Message version?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that translation. Because it's so weird. So how it's set up is like there's like the chapter and then it doesn't go verse by verse. What it does, it'll be like a paragraph and then it'll say verse 25 through 31 or something like that. It doesn't go like verse by verse. It's weird. But I like it because it's like simplified. It's like a simplified Bible.
Somebody says it's a modern paraphrase.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I'm ready to like wind down the stream.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
tired and stuff.
Yeah.
Jews behind feminism. You missed it, Luciano Casanova. You missed it. I talked all about the Jews on the left.
Yeah, she did. But anyways, yeah, I'm agnostic anyway, so.
Casanova. Yeah, you can tell I'm tired. I'm like getting loopy.
I'm agnostic anyways, but this is just, it's been drilled into my head my whole life. So I just kind of, it makes sense to me too. If we're
I love that pronunciation. Like, that's the proper pronunciation. Luciano Casanova.
But in the realm of religion, Christianity just makes the most sense to me, especially since you just gave me all those details about Judaism. I'm like, yeah, Christianity makes more sense to me.
Do you feel politics and religion ever mix? Of course they do. Duh. Like, my religion dictates that transgenderism is wrong. So it actually says do not allow it in your land. So according to our rules, if we're actually following our rules, we should not be voting Democrat because Democrats want to allow that in the land, and we're not supposed to allow that in our land.
But it's a mental disease though. So how would you kind of not allow that?
It says do not crush the parts, meaning like don't crush somebody's balls.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got
you. So we're not allowed to like spay and neuter pets because we're not allowed to crush the balls of a boy pet. I guess you could like fix a girl, maybe. Like, women are not actually supposed to get what do you call it? Get themselves fixed. Hysterectomy. There was actually a question of a rabbi where they had a mentally incapacitated girl who kept getting raped in a home. So they determined that they couldn't do an abortion on her pregnancy, but that after she completed the pregnancy, they did determine that she could be fixed because of the situation.
Situational ethics.
Right. It was like a retarded girl that was in a home and she was getting raped by the staff. So she was pregnant and the parents like went to the rabbi and asked, they call it a shaila, the question, like, what do we do with this? And they wanted an abortion. Rabbi said no. And 2, they wanted to fix her. So they said, okay for her to get fixed, but no to the abortion. That's what they said. That was the determination that was made.
Anyways, but yeah, you said you want to wrap it up. So
yeah, I'm tired.
Really, you're that? It's only 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought it was a good stream. A lot about religion and stuff. Like I said, in the realm of religion, Christianity makes the most sense, but just in general,
It's also what you're used to, so that's why it's gonna make the most sense to you.
you're right. You're right.
So, but
Anyways,
we
yeah.
can do this again. Like somebody invited to this stream actually tweeted back and said, not tonight, but I'd like to stream another night. So maybe we'll have a stream with me, you, and him, or maybe we'll find somebody else to stream with us. Maybe Zelix will stream with us at some point.
Maybe Zelix, bro. Where you at, man?
Is there, who all have you streamed with? Just Zelix? Or?
I've streamed with conservative Mexican Zelix. I was on a stream with Mike Magnificent, if you know who that is.
Neither conservative Mexican nor Mike Magnificent would go on a stream with me because both of them. Oh, I don't know if Mexican probably doesn't know this, but Mike Magnificent and I got into it huge because he supported Candace and got into a huge fight over it.
See,
so he was supposed to come on my channel.
My thing with Candace is like, I like the stuff she says. Most of the time.
Well, of course, because she doesn't write her own scripts.
Debatable, but
not debatable. I'm certain she doesn't.
But anyways, I like the stuff that she says, but I don't know. That whole Twitter thing, like, she took an L.
Oh, what is Matrix says you should watch the debate with Blair White.
Yes, I have to watch that. I have to watch that because I'm sure that debate will be like my defining factor of whether do I like Candace Owens, do I not. Like,
it makes the Twitter war look tame. It really does.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's good entertainment, but
I'll have to stream it. Yeah. Like, I'll stream it on my channel. Yeah.
Stream it. What do you mean stream it on your channel?
Like, I'll
like stream your reaction?
Yeah.
So the original video is an hour and 34 minutes.
That's nothing. What's it called?
I put the link in my videos and then
Blair White, Candace Owens. Okay.
Or you can just do a search like on YouTube, Candace Owens.
Oh, I see.
Blair
It's the top one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the top one. Okay, so Blair White is conservative, right?
She's anti-SJW transgender. But the main issue was that Blair White was basically a stand-in for Tree. Tree started this by exposing Candace, and Candace wouldn't debate Tree. So she contacted Dave Rubin. Candace did. And she said, because everybody was like hounding her on YouTube and on Twitter. So she said, okay, I'll do a debate against Blair White on your channel. And Dave Rubin said, okay, because he was like already in the middle of it. Or at least watching everything go down. And so, yeah, she said Tree was a crackhead, which Tree used to be on SWAT teams. Tree's an ex-police officer. So, yeah. I mean, Candace comes across like a 13-year-old in an argument with a friend that she's fighting with. That's how she comes across. Instead of like a grown woman having like a proper debate. And Dave Rubin did a terrible job of moderator. But it even leaks out during the debate that basically she kind of contacted Dave and like arranged for him to be on her side throughout the debate. And he basically is. He basically takes Candace's side throughout the debate.
They work together.
Dave Rubin?
Yeah.
Not Dave Rubin. He was supposed to be He was supposed to be the moderator of the debate.
Doesn't Dave Rubin work for TPUSA?
No. But one thing
Yes,
is,
he does. Yeah, he does.
doesn't. No, he doesn't.
He's been on TPUSA's channel.
Maybe. I mean, they're both funded by the Koch brothers.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't think they're like the same entity exactly. But this was I think the debate took place before she even worked for TPUSA.
Okay.
So she met Charlie Kirk in December, and that debate was on election day of 2017.
2016, you mean?
2017.
There was no elections in 2017.
We had a mayoral election, so I went to vote, and then...
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so New York City had a mayoral election.
Oh yeah, because New York City is like freaking weird. New York, just the whole state is freaking weird with their elections.
Oh, what do you mean?
New York does their elections differently than the rest of the country.
I mean, I think mayoral elections are like staggered.
Maybe. Anyways,
like ours are every 4 years. So 2017, and then the next one's going to be 2021.
I don't know. I mean, I still like some of the stuff that Candace says, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think even people who can't stand her do agree with a lot of the stuff that she says. It's just her lack of sincerity.
I would hate
constant lying. That's what we don't like.
Personally, I would just hate if I were Candace, I would hate if like everything I said I actually believed, and then there were people who like, you just work, you have people write your scripts and stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean, at one point she made a comment about her lighting being brought to her. She was she put out a video and she was like, I just wanted to hurry up and make this video and I didn't have time to wait for my lighting.
What do you mean? What do you mean lighting?
She pretty much admitted that she's like was working with a PR firm. Somebody was bringing her lighting, and I'm betting they were bringing scripts too.
I mean, what's wrong with working with a PR firm though?
Because she's
I mean, she wants to get her message out there, right?
Yeah, but she's like, she pretends she doesn't. She doesn't really admit it, but she slips up and admits it. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So like she tries to, like she'll say like, oh, I was just a YouTuber. I was just some YouTuber. But meanwhile, she really wasn't just some YouTuber. She was hiring all these PR firms to put all these comments on videos to try to promote her.
I would do the same thing if I had the money.
Yeah, but then she acts like, oh, I was just a YouTuber. Like the rest of us, like, you're just a YouTuber. You legitimately are just a YouTuber. When you start hiring PR firms and hiring people to bring you your lighting, and have all these other, like, paying to have all these strings pulled for you and involved with all these, like, producers and stuff like that.
I mean, my thing is, like,
she literally has said, oh, I was just a YouTuber. She actually says in interviews, I'm just a girl. I was just a girl with a YouTube channel, which isn't really true because
she could have been at one point.
No, she had this stuff. She had production in place from the get-go. That's what I don't like. I don't like the constant lying, and the constant, like, changing her stances on stuff.
I don't know. I think maybe at one point she was just a YouTuber, and then, she hired people to do whatever. I get that.
No.
Because listen.
She had production staff from the get-go. She only had, like, 14 YouTube videos before she got hired by Turning Point USA. And then she continued to make videos, but she like changed her name out of Red Pill Black. And people caught where she had an exchange. She was exchanging back and forth with, back when she was still on the left. Mike Cernovich basically like dropped into one of her conversations and was like, "Oh, I have a proposition for you." Boom. And then the conversation dropped dark, which everybody pretty much figures that that's when they moved to private direct messages. And when she came out, that's who she was working. She went on his stream pretty early on. So what everybody pretty much figures, but I mean, we can't prove this, but that Mike Cernovich was like her like production person. But that's the thing, is like they try to hide it, they try to lie about it. She's been caught in so many lies.
I still don't see the
Here's an example. She claimed she made a video for Prager University. Okay. Claiming that she grew up in her grandfather's house. Okay. But in other interviews and in her Degree 180 blog, it's very, very clear that she grew up in her parents' house, never lived with grandparents, never mentions grandparents. She claims that in the Prager video, she claimed that her grandfather made her go to church. On Dave Rubin's interview of her in September, somebody super chatted a question asking her about the Black community and the church, and if that's why Black people vote Democrat. And she said, "I have absolutely no background with church, so I have no ability to answer this question." And then she later on makes a video and says, "Oh yes, my grandfather dragged me to church every day, and I had to read the Bible." Da 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 da. What? Like, that's right there. That's an example of her being caught in a lie. So she grew up in Connecticut. In her Degree 180, like stuff that she talks about in Degree 180, she pulled it down, but almost all of it is still there. Through what do you call it? The Wayback Machine. But she took down the site. But it's mostly still there through Wayback Machine. And if you look at her blog post, she says, like, she lied about why she quit her job. On her blog post, she says, "I quit my job because I wasn't happy." And that now she was just gonna do a blog, and she thought that was gonna pay the bills. And then she opens up Social Autopsy, and she says, "I quit my job to do Social Autopsy," but she actually quit her job in 2015 to do Degree 180. So in 2015, she supposedly quit her job to do Degree 180. Degree 180. In 2016, she's saying, "I quit my job to do Social Autopsy." In 2017, she says, "I quit my job to do politics and be on the right."
The same job.
All the same job. Which was for a financial firm in Midtown Manhattan, where she was like the lead administrative assistant or something like that. But she tries to act like she was like some financial person.
I don't know. I still like Candace Owens, like what she says. You know, I mean, her life, her backstory, her life. You know, whatever. I just like what she says. You know.
I mean, but if it's scripted, then anybody can say it. So.
Well, whoever writes the script does a good job.
Yeah, well, I mean, her scripts are most likely being written by a white person, and she is the face being put on it because they feel like they're basically playing on the fact that the left calls us racist. So you have a lot of people who, in order to feel like they aren't racist against.
I don't know though, because then how does she like answer the random questions that she gets, and like when she does like in like I don't know what are they called when she goes on stage with Charlie Kirk?
Well, first off,
Unless you believe that like these people are hired to ask questions like that.
um, I think she's learning how to answer the questions, but the questions aren't that crazy. I mean, a lot of these are the same kind of questions that we all get asked. And she goes to this stuff with Charlie. So if she can't answer it, Charlie answers it. They keep her from. There was a leftist who came out who said that he had a list of like people he was willing to debate. And they told him he wasn't like important enough to debate a bunch of the people. And he was like, so then he specifically asked again about Candace. And he was like, but what about her? And her people, and I don't usually believe a leftist, but I believe this. Her people basically said, she's not ready to debate yet. So, I mean, when she went on Joe Rogan, it was a complete disaster. She got ripped apart even by the right. Because she's learning the answers, she's not learning the material.
Do you have the live stream comments where it says like do you have the live stream comments where it's like hold certain comments for review or whatever?
Yeah.
Why?
What do you mean?
Why?
Why what?
Why don't you just allow all the comments?
I don't know. I set it up at that point. I have problems that sometimes I get hit really hard with trolls.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily have enough mods around, so to keep things under control to make it a little easier. Like if I get hit with like 20 people from the alt-right that come in and they start, dropping the K word and stuff.
I don't know. I just let everybody talk on my live stream. That's just me though. I mean, you can do what you want. It's your channel, you know what I mean? But me, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Whatever you want to say, you know.
So what I'm saying, these people, their whole point is to spam the chat and to to get in the middle of other people's conversations and to disrupt those conversations on purpose.
Yeah.
So
I guess I don't have that problem.
Yeah, well, you're not Jewish. I have that problem because I'm Jewish. And I get targeted for being Jewish. It is what it is. Yeah.
I'm sorry for that. About that. I'm sorry about that, yeah. So my thing is like
he says, because she is the filthy Jew and does her dirty Jewish work. Just kidding, AC is the bomb.
See, I don't know. I believe in the freedom of religion, you know. So if you want to be Jewish, cool. You don't want to be Jewish, cool. If you want to be Christian, cool. If you want to be atheist, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate that we have this problem with the alt-right. I feel like it's starting to die down, but at one point it got really bad. I mean, we know what happened in Pittsburgh, and that was somebody from and these are actually leftists behind this
yeah, exactly. If you want to be a Satanist, cool. It's what what's his name? Nuno?
None your business.
Yeah, if you want to be Satanist, cool. Anyways, yeah, but the stream's been going on for like 3 hours and there's people in my living room. I've just been in my room this whole time, so
yeah, I was surprised that you wanted to stream like on Kratzmas Eve.
What's Kratzmas? What is that?
Kratzmas, that's like the Jewish like a lot of people, some Jewish people will call it like they'll spell it like that. Oops, no. That's miss there.
Oh,
Some people don't want to say the name of another god that isn't their god.
but I thought they didn't believe that Jesus was a god.
Yes, but it's still somebody else's god.
All right.
We're complicated people.
Very
If
complicated.
nothing else.
Very, very complicated to me. Anyways. But yeah. I don't really know. I never know how to like do an outro to a live stream. I just kind of go, all right, guys, bye. You know.
Oh yeah. So everybody, we shall have another live stream maybe later this week, maybe next week. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel and coming to meet Right Conservative here.
Hi guys.
Bye.
Merry